Cool.
Hi there, everybody. My name is Lebeck, and the Rabbi from another planet. Please, I guess, like, share, and subscribe. I guess people watch this after it's live. I really have no idea. You let me know what you do. Good evening, everybody. Let me say hello to everybody in chat. Colin B. Smith, Bad Wolf 66, Garbage, Gary Hewitt. Gary, did you get the? I did send you the DVDs, didn't I? I can't remember. I think you won one. Who else is there? There's Garbage. I already said hello to you. And anybody else comes on, I'll say hello soon. We are talking tonight about what are we talking about? Picard, episode 6, season 1, episode 6, The Impossible Box. And joining me is let's go around the thing. We have the Mega Geek, fresh from your success. Where was it? Pittsburgh?
It was in Oregon, Portland.
In Oregon, Portland. Yeah. Mega Geek has a web series, Rebecca Gold. It's available now. Everybody's channels is in the video note. Please subscribe to everybody, but do go and check his web series out. It won like tons of awards, didn't it?
It has indeed.
We are very excited. So we're honored to have you on. Go ahead,
Thank you very much.
We have Noel of the TARDIS Zone. Noel, how are you this evening?
I am. Considering what's going to happen tomorrow, I'm actually okay. Yeah,
it's like the calm before the storm, isn't it? It really is.
I see the J-bots are out in force now, talking, saying that they hope they break Chibnall does what he has to do to get rid of the sexist bigots in the fandom. So yeah, it's going to be interesting.
I'm dreading tomorrow.
Yeah,
you know what it's like right now? It's like Best of Both Worlds Part 1. Before, when Picard's like walking around the ship, doing an inspection tour of the ship before it's like the calm before the storm. That's what it's like waiting for Doctor Who tomorrow. It
is. I'm feeling happy because I know tomorrow I'm going to be devastated. I'm probably crying into me cornflakes.
Yeah, I'm hoping. Listen, I know this is a Picard stream, but we'll just go into. I'm hoping they break canon so badly we can decanonize this era. So that's my
BBC. I just hope the BBC is ready for the biggest fan backlash that they've seen in years because
no, they're not.
Gary was talking about it last night on his channel. It's going to be absolutely huge. Doomcock spoke about it as well. This is not going to go down well with fans if this happens, but we're not here for Doctor Who, so
we're here for Picard. Let's slightly less obnoxious this week. And also joining us is Jason Scott.
The panel, though, I want to say hello to Jason.
I was going to say, also joining us is Jason. Jason, how are you this evening?
Live long and prosper, folks.
It's a long life, my brother.
You too, my friend. Yeah, now equals good this week. I tell you, I didn't mind this week's episode. I'm not saying it was great, but as Jason would say, the plot kind of milked along a bit, which it did. It's interesting now. She's activated now, so my
2-word review of this episode is mostly harmless.
Yeah,
okay.
Which is really that's what you're hoping for now in modern science fiction, in modern TV, mostly harmless.
Did anyone
I could pick out that annoyed me, but we'll talk about that after.
Right. Did anyone notice that there was no one there at the ending when what's that guy's name? The guy with the sword, Enelor, or his name is.
Elnor.
He goes. There was no one there when he was talking.
You heard the footsteps coming.
Yeah,
Which was stupid, by the way. That ending was insane. He could have gone through.
Choose to live. I love
but there was no one there. Who was he talking to?
Yeah,
they were coming. They were coming, and then they shut the door, and then obviously they're implying that they showed up, and then he does a spiel.
Basically.
Basically, they saved the money on the stuntmen for that episode. That's what was going on. But let's do a quick rundown of what happened in the episode for anybody who didn't watch it. It starts off. We have a flashback with young Soji is having a dream. It's a stormy house, and she goes into her father's workroom. She can't see his face. She can't see what she's working on, and she gets scared, and she wakes up, and she's in bed with Narek, and she seems quite happy about that. I can't argue. Then
Swindon
Sorry,
Spock. as he's known by.
By the way, again, listen. If we ever do put together we've been talking about making our own Doctor Who, like crowdfunding it. That actor, whatever his name is, he should be Doctor Who. He's freaking incredible. What's the name of that actor? He's like Harry. I can't remember his name.
I don't know.
Everybody's. Whenever I'm watching it, when everybody walks by, they go, "Oh, who's that?" Everybody. He's very charismatic. Anyway, so on the ship we have Jurati says, Agnes Jurati just said Maddox just happened to die after she murdered him because the Vulcan, they're not Vulcan, the woman from Starfleet Security showed her something which clearly wasn't true. Whatever. So she says she that Maddox just died, and everybody goes, yeah, okay. Yeah, no problem with that. And then they said they have to go to the Borg cube. And then something really annoyed me that like Picard still has all this like pent up anger and post traumatic shock about the Borg. I think that Picard is such a person that he would overcome his demons. Yeah, that's something that I think is kind of important to the character.
Yeah, I just, God, when watching Patrick Stewart, I just feel so sorry for him because he's so old, and even when he's saying "come with me," they should have made this 10 years ago, man, when he was sprightly.
Pathetic in that scene, actually, and spoiler alert for anybody, don't give a shit if you haven't seen it. Actually, don't care now at this stage. But Hugh from Next Generation makes an appearance now. Is that the same actor?
No, it's not.
No, it is. It is. It's Tom
It is?
Yeah.
I don't think it is.
Oh, by the way, I have news. I'm sure you all heard it as well. Red Letter Media put out their review of episodes 4 and 5.
Yeah, and Ejeb, the man that plays Ejeb.
Yeah, but they said why they got rid of Ejeb. Because he came out against, who was it? The guy from Discovery when he said he was... what's the correct word? Touched up when he was a boy by Kevin Spacey. Was it him? He said he was molested by Kevin Spacey. I think there's a disclaimer. I'm not a news source. If I got that wrong, Mr. Spacey, please don't sue me. And I still like your movies. I don't care what you did. And I would like to see you in more movies. But that's just me for you. And anybody who does like Mr. Spacey, please don't sue me.
And all of us on the panel will just like to stress that that's Rabbi's view only. Some of us do like Kevin Spacey's acting, but if Kevin Spacey has done anything bad, he's
a great actor. I hate to say it.
Yeah, but if he's done that like that, he should be locked up in prison.
Well, yeah, probably, but I don't know.
Probably? No, he should be.
No. If he did that, then yes, he should be locked up. Yes, I agree with that entirely. I just don't know what to believe anymore.
Yeah, I know.
Because, like, everybody says, that's the trouble of the Me Too generation. The Me Too generation has, like, taken believability away from all victims. Because, like, why not just tell the truth all the time and then we could all be doing well?
I know one of his cases was dropped, but there's still another case pending, but he's doing those creepy... they're really creepy. It's like, come on. Like, don't get me wrong, I love him in House of Cards. I love these characters. Frank Underwood. I loved Frank Underwood, but like, do those creepy videos after being accused of that is no. I'm sorry.
They're very, very creepy. I know. I was watching Baby Driver the other night, and it had Kevin Spacey in it. I was like, I kind of miss Kevin Spacey. I like Kevin's stuff.
Yeah,
I thought it was a good Lex Luthor. But yes, okay. Look, unconditionally, if he's a multiple rapist, yes, I agree he should be locked up. I'm not. That's not my position. That he's like, we forget. No.
No, back to Picard anyway.
Back to Picard, yes. Right. So then we're on the ship, and we have it's so kind of like for all the people who scream about diversity and inclusion, the people who write this are just pure racists. So you have this like Hispanic Captain Reyes. And of course, he's on the bridge playing soccer because that's what every Latino man does all the time. Yeah. He probably has like a brother who works in a body shop or something. It's such a freaking Latino stereotype. It's embarrassing. I was actually embarrassed for the writers at that point. They wrote it in. And then so him and Jurati, they sort of hook up, but they don't. Then they do. Then they don't. Then they do. I think they end up in bed together. For some reason, I don't really understand why. But okay, fine. So then back on the Borg ship, we have we have a creepy scene with Narek and his sister. And we got these. He's talking about Soji's dreams, and I actually kind of liked all that thing when Narek was saying, no, the reason the dreams are there are important, and I thought that was pretty clever. Then was it? They're working out how to get. Then they have to get onto the Picard onto the Borg cube, and you have what's her name? Raffi turns up. She's boozing and she's smoking, and she's just walked out of Altered Carbon. Okay, that's the show that she was in, and apparently they put her in Star Trek for some reason. So and then she blackmails. So she gets Picard to get the credentials to beam off the bullshit. Also confirming the entire Federation is run by Starfleet is run solely by women now. Starfleet is completely a matriarchy.
No, there's no men commanders in Star Trek anymore.
No, it's for Bota now. Yeah. Soji tells Narek about her mother. That comes up. That comes up. And she's saying she falls asleep whenever he talks to her mother. And Narek says, well, you only talk to her for 70 seconds a night. She's like, what? So she tries to talk to her mother and she falls asleep. She tries to stab herself. No, she falls asleep. Fine. So there's I think she's starting to wake up and realize there's something going on with the mother. Picard arrives on the Borg cube and he has to go alone. And, he's again, PTSDing all over the place right now. And then he's saved by Hugh. Hugh was good in this. I think Hugh was one of the only characters that seemed like he came from the Star Trek universe. He's like, he got over his adversity and he was helping other people and he was just being altruistic and good. He was being like he was in a Star Trek episode. And I liked that. Like why can't we have nice people? So that was nice. Soji wakes up from her in full coma, full sleep, and she scans everything and she finds that everything is only 37 months old. Including that really unique necklace, which isn't unique at all. I bought the same necklace for my girlfriend when she was 16. That's something you get from the Argos catalog. Argos, by the way, is a cheap. How would you describe Argos?
Yeah, Argos is like it's a catalog place where you can buy almost anything, right? And
it's all crap.
Stores as well, but it's crap. Their gold is crap. Their silver is crap. It's like if you live in a council estate, that's the best place to go and get your jewelry.
Yes, exactly. Fine. So was it? So Soji tells Narek about that she's freaking out. So Narek says, we're going to take you for a Jammak, another stupid Romulan name, which is, I think it's kind of like the Romulan equivalent of a mind meld, where they walk her through her dreams, and it's only Romulans are allowed in there. Then what else happens?
These Romulans only and all again, business.
Right.
They're really flat. They're really flogging that crap like, the refugee, Donald Trump's a bad man because he won't let, illegals into our country. They're really pushing that narrative in Star Trek Picard, I have to say.
I think the finale has got to be that the borders are bad, and the only way they can save the day is by destroying all borders. That's basically, I think, where they're going with it. So so you do the Jean-Marc thing. They walk Soji through her dream, and she gets to see her father, who doesn't have a face, and she sees what she's working on. It's a wooden doll of her. What a shock! And then he says, "Look up!" And she sees a planet with a couple of moons, and she describes it, gives like 2 or 3 details, and go, "Right, that's it. We know where you're from." And they open up. The Narek has this Rubik's Cube thing, which opens up, and like a red radiation gas comes out there and tries to kill her. She punches her way through the floor to get away, and then both Narek and Hugh and Picard are racing to get her. Picard gets to her first. Narek says, "Come this way," takes her to the Bull Queen's private room, and there's a super transporter in there that takes her 40,000 light years away. Elnor shows up after being told to stay on the ship.
How did he show up?
Yeah, obviously he shows up, and then and then for some reason he says, "I'll stay behind," while Picard beams away, but I don't understand why. Like he could have beamed away with Picard.
The other ship that they were on is still up there, so I'm assuming he'll kill all them and he'll beam up to the other ship.
Well, how the hell did they beam him down and not be able to beam him back up?
Yeah, that's what
they didn't beam him down. They didn't beam him down because they turned around. Where's the kid? He'd slipped out himself, so he'd obviously got on the transporter while Picard was down there originally, and we just didn't see it happen. But
the point is, if he can beam down, they can beam Picard and the girl into the ship. So why did they have to go 40 light years away? Didn't make any sense.
Obviously that was the Borg Queen's room. So there's obviously as soon as the power is up, there's obviously shielding around that room, isn't there? So they probably won't be able
keep the damn power off and then beam them back up.
Exactly.
There are so many things they could have done.
Yeah.
and then I'm giving you an explanation. That's the explanation. The power goes on, so it blocks the transporters. I mean, they should probably explain that in the show, but it doesn't take a far stretch of the imagination to think that that's what actually happened.
Yeah, but that's just crap. You know, then leave the room.
Exactly.
Leave the room with what's his name? Elron?
Yeah.
No. It's
what is his name? What is it? Is it Elron?
No. It's not Elron. It's Elnor. Elnor. And so Elnor decides he's going to stay back, even though they walk through, and he could have walked through with them. He decides he's going to stay there for what purpose? I don't get it.
Because the script says so.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, here's
the thing: if they go back to it next week and we see what actually happens, which I think we do, because you see you being choked out of it by that Romulan sister.
Oh, really?
So in the trailer, they actually showed them in the hall. So I know it ended like that, but you're actually going to get to see what happens. So I know you are saying what happened to them, or they didn't explain. Well, they're going to explain it next week's episode. I mean, do you not watch the trailers, guys? No.
I do, but I'm so bored by that.
I want to spoil my enjoyment. What about? Did anybody notice the woke stuff in it? Like, for instance, when Captain Picard said, "Come with me," she wouldn't take his hand. You remember that? And at the end, she wouldn't take his hand.
I don't notice anymore.
I'm like, what? So anyway, whatever. You can't unsee it once you see it.
Again, I think people are just picking on things. Again, she only met him. Right? He was saying, I knew your sister, I knew your father, here's the rings, I want you to trust me. Of course there was going to be hesitation. Of course she's not going to take his hand.
You're probably right there.
You know what I mean? I think people, this is what's happening now. We've got to judge this on its merits, right? Okay? I thought this week wasn't too bad. Yes, there was things in it that annoyed me. But is this the worst episode I've seen so far? No.
Oh, nowhere near.
Nowhere near, yeah.
Right.
I think this, I would say it's probably one of the best episodes, isn't it?
Yeah,
really? You think it's the best?
No, one of the best. I mean, it's, again, it was non-offensive.
That's still not saying much, but I mean, we have to be very careful when we're reviewing this, that we're not just picking on things for the sake of picking on.
No, I know, like the political correctness thing and the agenda thing. But my question is, are you guys saying that it's probably better than some of the others simply because of the canon?
I walked away with this one without wanting to bang my head against a brick wall.
No, I'll tell you what was for me. What you said last week, Jason. When you said last week that the plot kind of moved along for you in last week's episode, and I wasn't impressed. Well, for me this week, it felt like the plot moved along. I mean, Soji now is activated. There's a little bit more.
Yeah, so something actually happened.
All I have to say, do you know what I've noticed? When they're on the Borg cubes, the episodes are better. When I'm not on the Borg cubes, the episodes are boring. And now they're going to be off the Borg cube again, so next week is going to be shit. Because anytime they're on the Borg cube, it seems to get interesting.
Oh, wait. Next week is the one with Riker. I did watch the trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's chunked out in the hall right at the start of the bleeding trailer, so we get to see them in the hall. So that's what I'm saying. Like, people just watch the trailer as well, but we have to be careful when we're reviewing this. Look, this is still not Star Trek; it's nothing near it. But this episode is probably the best one of a bad bunch. And
See, I just for me the last episode was better than this one only because you know why though, because first off I don't really care for Soji. Anytime she comes on the screen, she just unless she's actually playing some helpless doe with the headlights and she just kind of annoys me that she's this figure that is the centerpiece of the show. So that kind of annoys me, and to have to look at her through that lens, it just bothers. She just annoys me. There's something about her just annoys the hell out of me. So I don't enjoy episodes where I have to watch her in any kind of scene where she's distraught. The whole distraught thing just seems phony to me. She does it okay when she's like this college student who is upset about something, but when she's the centerpiece, she's like this figurehead that is the the artificial intelligence everyone's trying to get a hold of. It just doesn't work for me. And then the other thing about this episode that kind of stuck out to me as opposed to last episode was just there's just these periods where it really does feel. I mean, look, this is nothing about Star Trek. This is just about these long periods of unnecessary dialogue. You just drag it out. I mean,
that's what it's called. They do that deliberately to fill.
Yeah, but the last episode seemed to have maybe it was just because to me, seeing 7 of 9 on the screen, it didn't come across as worthless dialogue because you actually had a decent actress. But when I have to watch Narek with this other person, stuff like that, just watching her be consoled by Narek, or watching this Rafi having to be consoled during her hangover, just scenes like where Jurati is trying to get them, there's this thing between Jurati and Rios, but that
was so pointless. That was so pointless.
I mean, for what purpose? What did that serve? I mean, maybe they're trying to set it up for some later episode where they're trying to establish that there's a connection and something happens, so that he defends her out of some sort of not duty, but because he had something
loyalty or something.
Yeah, something happened between them. So now he feels like he's got some kind of bond with her. So maybe that was needed, but you didn't have to go on, and it's just a lot of pointless dialogue in this one for me. Yeah, there was some movement.
The biggest problem in this episode, again, for me, though, if I have any criticism, unfortunately, is Patrick Stewart. Even when he went on to the bar cube, I did like his reaction at first, but when he met you for the first time and he gives him a hug and he's just standing there looking passive and stuff and like a frail old man with his head down, I'm like, come on, you're the great Jean-Luc Picard.
No, he's not. They're not playing him like that anymore. They're really not. They're not playing him like that.
There is no Picard in this, and there's no Star Trek in this, which is kind of a misnomer given the title. But that's the thing. You think that's the thing. It hasn't been Star Trek from the start, right? And I agree with JC. It's just a sci-fi thing, and a bad one at that. There's time filling in there. There's relationships that doesn't make any sense. There's let's beam into the ball cube when they could just easily beamed out Picard. There's all these faults in there, right? Plus the agenda's playing a bit as well. And I know what Noel's saying. Don't play it too much. You have to be fair about it. But all these things, to me, it's not Star Trek, and I watch it. I enjoy a bit of it, but
I would say you take Patrick Stewart out of this episode.
That's right.
You'd still have the same episode. You'd still have the same episode. There's no need for this man to be even in this show or to even.
They could save a lot of money. They could save a lot of money if they thought that.
It's tragic looking at him because he just doesn't have it anymore, and unfortunately, that's just what happens when we get to a certain age, and that's nothing to be ashamed of, But and I'm glad he still thinks he can do it, but unfortunately, Sir Patrick Stewart, you can't. And if you weren't in this show, wouldn't make one iota of difference. We'd still have the same show, even the things that he did it. You replace him with a different character and call it a different name, give it the show not under Star Trek at all, it would probably work. If it was a spin-off or something, it would work fantastically well.
I don't know.
It's just the small things, right? Like, what's his name? Soji? Who's the guy with the sword? No, Eleanor. He comes to he's got a sword and everybody's got guns. You know what I mean? How's that going to happen? You know, I want you to live. Don't, you know, they're going to shoot his ass. Do you know what I mean? And then next week he won't be dead. He'd be alive, right? Just the small things like that doesn't make any sense.
Oh, that's it. I like Elnor.
He's pretty fast on those Romulans and killed them for pretty fast. So, like, you know, he's a creepy little fecker. He's like a little ninja.
Yeah,
I don't mind that he doesn't use guns, but you don't know. We haven't seen him use a gun yet, so we don't know if he's even trained.
Yeah, but what a gun! He's got a sword. Everybody else has got guns.
But I do think the guy is. You know, I mean, if the lore surrounding what is he again? What is he? He's
like a warrior nun.
Yeah, but there's a denomination. There's a title but anyway, whatever the title is. But this guy's been trained. He's like one of the best. So you know, they got guns, but you know, he's like a Romulan ninja. You know,
exactly.
That doesn't really. But look, if they had taken Picard out of the equation, first off, you wouldn't be calling it Picard. So right there, you've got a stumbling block to interest, unless you hire a really good actress who, for all of the criticisms I think that are leveled at Picard, you know, Patrick Stewart in this franchise, which I think are well deserved. Don't get me wrong, he's still a good actor. He's just not the Picard, but honestly, if they didn't hire or if they didn't bring him on board, could have been a better show if they got the right guy, and chances are they wouldn't.
Yeah, that's a pretty fair show. You know, I go back and forth between feeling sorry for Patrick Stewart and not. Sometimes I feel sorry for him because he's like so frail and doddery, you know. Now, like he's not like the strong man that he was, you know, even 5-10 years ago. But on the other side, I feel bad for him. But on the other hand, I go, well, this is all his vision. All this thing that's annoying me, all this like non-Star Trekkiness of it is his vision. And I go, well, you know what? I don't feel sorry for you at all then. You're an idiot. Like, what the hell? Like,
what's the ship called? Is anybody? Because I'm trying to find out what that ship's called.
It's some. I can look it up. Some
it's the SS Shitty Prize.
What's that?
The SS Shitty Prize.
Really? He's looking it up as well.
I'm going to be on the strike. Last week I thought it looked decent. I don't know what it was about it this week, but I just didn't like the look of it. And I do actually agree.
It's the Lust Arena.
Lust Arena. I was just looking it up.
But that whole Picard thing in his office having his chateau just bleeding off.
I hate that. I hate the chateau holodeck. I hate it when they read that.
Trying to save money. They're trying to save money, right? That's what they're trying to do.
I don't know. I just don't think they want to have Picard on a spaceship. You know, that's really what boils down to. They just don't want to have Picard on a bloody spaceship.
Do you think they'll roll out the Enterprise or something? Do you think we'll get the Enterprise at the end?
I doubt it. I really doubt it. It's
thank God. Thank God in this week's one he wasn't berated by women. Picard.
He was cut off by Agnes Gerard, the doctor.
Yes.
Yeah, when he was trying to work out she cut him off.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I don't know, man. I just it's just so bad now that, like, you know, you kind of have to.
I have to agree with Noel though. I thought this episode was enjoyable. You know, it wasn't as bad as last week's one, in my opinion.
Well, again, last week's one traumatized everyone.
I just want to make it clear, though. Even though I thought this one was better than last week or more enjoyable, that's like it's a low bar, folks.
Yeah, like, I know.
This is not.
I have to say, I respect The Mandalorian so much more now. Because whilst I'm watching this, because The Mandalorian really had the guts to not have an episode go on too long and fill them with meaningless waffle. I like that the episodes were 30 minutes long, and they filled the episode. You know,
but you're saying it takes guts. It shouldn't even be on the board. Calling it saying it takes guts. It should just be like standard.
Standard.
But it's. I mean, you're right. Don't get me wrong. But it's funny that we're down to like, it takes guts to actually put a show that's watchable together.
Yes.
Well, just like what Noel said, though, isn't it? Just like what Noel said. You know, I mean. It's crazy, right? This is what the shows have come down to, you know.
But you know, a lot of it, honestly, a lot of it is it just, to me, look, a lot of it is the acting. It really is, because you can take dialogue. Look at Stephen Fry was given this in Doctor Who. Stephen Fry was given he was written in just like everybody else, and he he made that scene extremely watchable because he's a good actor.
Yeah,
you put good actors in these shows. I mean, like 7 of 9, she's a good actress. You get somebody who can actually act, and the scene between, say, Girardi and Rios becomes alive. That actually becomes believable. I don't like watching it because Girardi is the woman who plays Girardi. She's interesting when she's playing this kind of naive character. But when you extend that to her being a major player, I mean, she just doesn't have she just doesn't have the range.
Opinion, yeah?
Huh?
She's miscast in your opinion. Then.
A lot of them are miscast. I just don't think Rios is right for the role. I don't think she is.
So tell us, JC, who do you think, out of all the cast, who do you think is miscast?
Who would you keep?
Well, I would keep Narek. And I think, honestly, who was the other? There was one other one that we were talking about in some previous episode. I mean, I would have kept 7 and 9. I think she's a good choice.
She was wasted.
Well, isn't it insane? They got this whole Borg reclamation project, and that's not how they tied 7 or 9 into it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, really? Like, wait, you got to shoehorn Jet, but no, she's got to be firing 2 phases. Yeah. Why couldn't she be more like 7 of 9?
Because the writers don't have any fucking imagination.
Or knowledge of Star Trek at all.
Right? Yeah. Sorry, Ted. See, Ted's giving out to me now because he knows I'm about to raise me. The problem that we have here is that the gobshites that are all in charge of these shows just don't understand the history. They don't understand canon either. And this is it's so obvious. So what they do is, instead of trying to be faithful to canon, they make it look like they're being faithful to canon, but it's mostly all smoke and mirrors. They give you different threads that keep the fans fighting with each other for a long time. This is what they do. These shows are designed to be decisive as well in the fandom. They want to split fandoms up. They don't want that. They want, I don't know what they want, but they certainly.
Why do they want to split fandoms?
And
why do you think they want to split fandoms? I don't like.
It's all to do with the agenda, mate.
They do split fandoms, though. Look at what
they do, but I don't think they want to.
I do think they do. Yeah.
Why?
BBC, right, I'll explain it. Right. Before Series 11 even aired, there was all this rhetoric going around that Chris was asked, "Have you any worries that some of the fans will walk away?" And he says, "No, sure. The whole point of Doctor Who is that it reaches a wider audience and stuff like that. So we're always going to lose fans along the way, right? This is BBC's plan. They wanted Series 11. The reason why Series 11 was completely something different is because he wanted to get rid of all the old fandom, fill them up with all these ideologues and people that have all this bloody are interested in one thing, and he's pandered to that side." Throughout Series 11, and he's done it again throughout Series 12, but he's tried to rope us in by giving us the likes of the Jadoon, the likes of the Cybermen, right? Captain Jack. That was all designed to bring fans like us that had said we'd had enough after Series 11 back, and it's back for it. This is what they all do. They want to break up fandoms. They've done it with Star Wars. They're doing it with this now. They're doing it with STD. They've done it with Doctor Who. They want to destroy fandoms and replace them. That's what they want to do. But
I can see they wanted to replace them. I'm not sure they want to.
I don't see that either. I think a lot of it is, look, they're doing things that are driving fans away. Do they want to drive fans away? No, I think they want. Look, if they wanted to, like for example, in Doctor Who, if they really wanted to break up the fandom, they genuinely would not have appealed to bringing back some of the classic villains. I think that was a gimmick. It was used to try to rope in some of the classic fans so that they would make their agenda more palatable. But as far as destroying or trying to break up the fandom, I don't think that's the goal, but I think inadvertently that's what's happening.
I think that basically what they're doing is they have no clue about canon. They're hacks. So they come in and they will try to reimagine the continuation from the past to the present. And because they're hacks, they just don't know.
But do you think that they know that they don't know what canon is?
No, they don't. They don't know. They think they're doing something really good. Like the people.
Do you think that they think they are ignorant of canon?
No, I don't think they do.
I don't think it's even on their radar.
Yeah, I don't think they.
Yeah.
So you think in the board meetings when they're talking about, when they're discussing episodes, the idea of being consistent doesn't even, like, the idea of, in other words, here's the historical framework that we're going to put this in. None of that. None of that's considered.
All right, let me explain. I've had a little bit of experience.
Doctor Who was in a unique position because Chris Chibnall's a fan, right? So that doesn't count for him. Right, he's a fan.
No, but in reference to Star Trek, though.
Right, yeah, let me explain. This is how it happens, right? It's all to do with politics. Right? So this is just a guess, right? So they hired whoever they hired to do Picard, right? They talk about the past, they talk about the present, right? Then Patrick Stewart comes in and he puts his 2 pence worth in, and then it all becomes this mashup of what everybody thinks should be in there. And then they forget about canon, and then they say, let's do something for today. And then that's what happens. And then it just becomes this mess. Rather than just having one person as the captain, Captain Kirk, leading the Enterprise, just one person leading the one showrunner that says, this is how it should be. Let's move forward with that, depending on how good that showrunner is. With Picard, I reckon it's loads of people throwing things in the hat. And they're trying to compromise with everybody because everybody has so much power, and it turns out to be a mess.
Wouldn't you agree part of that though? Wouldn't you agree that part of that though is because it's this whole idea of inclusivity, that you have to be inclusive, that you can't just have one white guy running the ship.
Yes,
you have to have
that too.
So I'm saying at the heart of it, it appears to be an agenda-driven monstrosity.
I agree. Yeah, and that's what makes it a mess. That's what makes it a mess.
All these other shows that we used to watch, the classic Star Trek, the classic Doctor Who, they all had a political agenda. Right?
Not as much as it is today.
No. See, we're getting caught out again. This is the thing, right? We need to stop doing this as well.
No, wait a minute. I know what you're going to say. Yeah, there was politics in classic Doctor Who, but it wasn't driven. The politics weren't driven by what's between your legs and what color your skin was.
Yeah, right. Okay, but Star Trek did wear the Force wands in the original series to hire the first black actress.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
It wasn't driven like it is now, though.
Well, it was politically driven. Carson was politically driven.
Not like now.
Okay, I would say Star Trek is the most politically driven of all the major franchises that are going down in flames right now.
Look at
in the original series, there was an episode with the guy with half face was white, half face was black. Yeah. That was really radical in its day. Having Uhura kiss Kirk. That was really radical in its day.
He was meant to kiss Spock.
Yeah.
He was meant to kiss Spock, but William Shatner. Yeah, William Shatner intervened.
Okay.
Good
on
you.
Well, this is my point. All of these shows have, and I do agree with JC. It's like the politics are front and center now. What I'm trying to say is that the shows have always been political, but it's just the way they've been done back then. Back then, the story was the front and center, and whatever message they were trying to flog was put in subtly. It wasn't shoehorned in or forced in. It is. That's what I'm talking about.
You know what I think the difference between now and then is the people today don't have a work ethic, whereas people back in the 70s and the 60s had a work ethic. They would sit down and they would work hard at their craft and they will get better at it. Now, Kurtzman is, bottom line, he's lazy. Chibnall is lazy. That's really the bottom line. They don't want to work hard. It takes hard work to be able to be successful at anything. To be a successful writer takes work.
Doctor Who fan, though, that's what amuses me. I says Kurtzman and I can excuse him to some extent because he's not a fan, right? Whereas Chibnall is a fan and claims to be a fan, and we've even seen that clip of him, that famous clip. So he was one of the leading members of that Doctor Who society. So he is a fan. I expect more from him.
Right, I agree.
Do you know what I mean? That's the difference between him and Kurtzman. Kurtzman is a hack. Chibnall is a hack. Chibnall's supposed to be a fan. So you would think that his writing is at least half decent, but it's not. It's actually awful. And tomorrow night, I'm already actually now, me mood has kind of changed now.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bring it.
Let me say this. Let me just say this, because this whole idea that Star Trek and Doctor Who have been politically, there is political orientation in this. That is true. There have been undercurrents of politics in those shows. The difference is, Did Ofcom exist back then? Was skin color and gender regulated?
We had Mary Whitehouse. We had Mary Whitehouse in those days. We didn't have Ofcom. We had this one lone woman called Mary Whitehouse that caused the storm. One of the episodes of Doctor Who, and she wrote in, and then people rallied around her. She was a nobody, and then she caused the BBC to change things.
But here's the difference. Here's the difference.
Right,
there was no
founded in 2003, Jason.
Yeah, but there was no quota. There was no quota. They hired people based on their skin color because they were good actors, not because they had black skin or red skin or white skin or green skin, not because they had a penis or a vagina. They wrote them in because they were good at their job.
That's what I've started.
This is a heated conversation, isn't it?
No, I'm not, because this is baloney. I'm telling you, this agenda, and look, I don't see it in everything. I'll be the first to tell you, I didn't really see much agenda in this episode, to be honest. You can find anything if you look hard enough for it. And I agree with I agree with you in that regard. You have to be careful what you look for, because I see people talking about agenda here and there all over the place, and I don't. I'm like you. I kind of take
never going to be satisfied. And if you go back to old movies, you will see that even some of them had agenda, but it was subtly done. It's just now it's in your face.
But here's the difference. When they wrote those old shows, it wasn't around an agenda necessarily. They didn't have people breathing down their neck saying, "Hey, we need to hire more black guys. We need to hire more women. We need to hire this. We need to hire that," because that's what's important. No, what was important was the story, and is this entertaining? The entertainment factor is what drove those decisions, not what color are you.
No, you have a point there. Yeah. I love when we have the debate.
Yeah, so do I, mate.
It was about entertainment, and that's what's missing. This isn't entertainment. They're using this as a pulpit. They're using it as a platform, and that's what gripes my ass.
No, it gripes. It doesn't gripe my ass, but it gripes me. Yeah, definitely gripes me. But I'm with Noel. I love these heated conversations because I find them really entertaining.
Again, that's what YouTube's for, isn't it? I want to direct everyone's attention to the chat.
And it's great. It's fucking great. It is.
Was it Lucy? If I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly, I'm sorry, Lucy. Lucy, actually, I can't even try it. Mao. Lucy Mayo, however you pronounce her name. Hello, Lucy. She brings out an interesting point. She says the state of Star Trek Picard is currently worse than that of Star Trek. There are a lot of fans who have waited years for this, and what do they get? A total disappointment. That's an interesting point. What does the panel think?
That is worse than Doctor Who. No, sorry, Lucy. You know I love you, but I'm sorry. You're telling me that Star Trek Picard is worse than Doctor Who. I'm sorry, but that is an abomination, Doctor
Who. Lucy Meow.
Like Picard, right? Let's get it straight here. Picard is kind of a spin-off. It's not part of the main, say, canon. So this is though. Doctor Who is.
I would say Star Trek Discovery is more destructive to Star Trek canon than Picard is.
Yeah,
and I think that's really our core issue.
Not just the only. I don't understand. So they were gonna. So somebody decided, let's make a Picard series. Right? Why on earth didn't they not include anyone from the old series?
I know,
and have them run all the way through it rather than just cameos? Why? Because they're old? What is this? Ageism here? What is this all about?
Patrick Stewart. This is all Patrick. In fact, was it Michael Chabon? He was on Twitter or Instagram recently.
Vanity Project. Did you not know?
Exactly what it is.
I didn't.
Vanity Project. This is his baby, man. They had to convince this man. They've been convincing this man for a couple of years, apparently, and he turned him down quite a few times. So then they had another meeting, and then he set in what he wanted, and they agreed. They get through him a shitload of money, and he's back. But this is his vanity project. Look at his interview just before this series dropped. Look at what he says. He's live on stage somewhere, and he's doing this. He's talking at this fan event or something, and he gets up on stage and he goes on a rant. He goes on a 2-minute rant. He does. Right. He talks about the legacy of Star, the next generation. Then he basically says, I owe all my success to that show. And then goes on to bleeding hammer, bleeding everybody basically that supports Trump and the usual thing out of people's mouths. Leave these are political beliefs out. You're there to entertain people anyway. See, this is the problem with actors and actresses, right? They think because they have a platform where they reach millions of people or billions of people, that then they can come out then and actually talk about political stuff. As Ricky Gervais bloody said, right? Live in your own bubble, keep your mouth shut and keep out of it. You know nothing about the real world at all. So
true.
I hate when actors and actresses, especially ones that I admire, come out and start talking the same rhetoric as every other gobshite out there. Just keep your mouth shut and entertain us. No wonder Hollywood is in an awful thing. Idiots all think that politics. Well, if you could do a better job, why don't you all fucking run for governor and senate or something?
Some of them did.
Yeah, and they used to say it.
Anybody that gets up and makes a political speech at the Oscars or at the Golden Globe should be made run for fucking political office and see how hard it fucking is to actually do a hard
Well, that's what what's name wants to do now, Bob Iger. Like, he really wants to run for president. That's why he left.
You know what it is? So everybody that was saying that it might have been over sexual allegations, which I never believed anyway. So that's why he's actually leaving, because he's going to...
Look, he didn't tell me, but that's the word on the street.
Because there's a few feminists put it up there. A lot of big CEOs apparently around Bob Iger's departure left as well. And, people linked it to Harvey Weinstein being sent down. Maybe he's gonna squeal, and all these big CEOs are worried all of a sudden. It's the same rhetoric from these feminists. Now, I will say, so can I just say something actually? Because everybody that knows me on the channel knows that sometimes, I go on about climate change, and I do have a go at you know who. Well, an oil company recently did something that was totally disgusting, right? And they must be called out for it. So they basically put up a picture depicting poor Greta being, let's just say, dominated and stuff, right? We won't go any further than that. But these radical feminists have turned it into this whole, this is what men do to all women when they want to suppress them. Now, I'm sick
we destroy the planet. Oh, yeah, okay, get that.
This is the thing, and it goes on in the entertainment as well. This whole rhetoric needs to stop. It's doing a lot of damage, right? There's a lot of... You look at the suicide rates out there, especially amongst young men and young women. The suicide rates have flown through the bloody roof. It's because of rhetoric like this. Basically, women are scared to go out, and then men are being told that they're horrible bastards and that this, that, and the other. And then there's women on Twitter, and I've seen it, that they're actually given, here's 10 steps so you don't rape a woman. Like, what the hell is going on in this war? I swear I'm not messing.
So you don't rape a woman. If you don't know whether you're going to rape a woman or not, that's something's wrong.
This is what I said, right? I says men don't go out there to rape women. If their mothers and fathers have actually brought their bloody kids up properly, their sons up properly, trust me, they will respect women. I said, unfortunately, in society, there's a minority out there, like there is in every part of society, a minority out there that just crossed the line, and they should be all locked up. But to tar all men with the same brush, this is what I hate, this rhetoric, and it's getting into our entertainment. Now, I didn't see much agenda in this episode this week. This episode, for me, I'm going to give this episode a 5 out of 10, and that's the best I've probably given any episode that I've watched. I actually really didn't mind this episode. I'm actually going to watch it again because
wow, that's really impressive.
I'll tell you why. I paid attention, but there was a few things that I missed, so I actually want to watch it again because for me, like Jason last week, I know Jason doesn't like this one this week, but I actually thought the plot moved along for me. So it was interesting. I still think Picard is a pathetic old man.
I did like this episode, but I agree with JC. I mean, there was lots of fillers in there just to break up, to make it reach the amount of time that it's supposed to. As I said, I don't like that with that Scott Pilgrim girl. Suddenly she's kissing, was this Reyes? What the hell's that all about?
Yeah, that was so shoehorned. I mean,
That was weird. That doctor as well, man. She's getting nothing to do now. She's getting a bit bored. Now she killed Maddox last week or wherever his name is. But
I think when Soji, when you get to Soji, she's got to have something to do.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I said it. To me, I'm unsatisfied.
It's because they could have cut out. They in the editing, man. They could have cut so much and just moved the story along. I mean, I agree with Noel to an extent. Yeah, there were plot points that moved the story. It moved the needle. But at the same time, for me, it was counterbalanced by these long stretches. Well, I say long stretches when you put them back to back. It's just these long stretches of dialogue that just were to me. I don't need to see. If I wanted to watch a soap opera, I'll watch EastEnders. I mean, I don't need.
I know someone that reviewed the last week's Star Trek on a podcast, and I was listening to them, and they were going on about how great that scene was when I can't remember the girl's name. When met her son. You know the bit where she met her son?
Oh yeah.
And he was like rejecting her.
Worst scene.
Exactly. And I thought to myself, that was the worst. That was the worst. That was like a soap opera, right?
They like the mother and father figures to be told off by their kids because kids don't have respect today for their elders. You see them, not all of them. I'm not going to say all are.
Yeah.
But you see them, there's a generation that think, that they know best and that nobody can tell them what to do. I mean, look,
but in the review, right, the guy was going, I was really moved by that. My heart was breaking for her. I'm like, we don't even know these two people. How could your heart break for these two people?
Yeah, can we get a hard eye roll?
Put the emoji up there.
I mean, really, honestly, my problem with that scene wasn't so much that the kid was telling his mother off. It was just they picked a shitty actor to play the son. He was shitty. He was a shitty actor, and he played his acting was so subpar. I mean, and it wasn't believable. Now, if you'd had a decent guy playing the role and he'd given some performance that made you believe, look, he really did feel betrayed, and he really felt like he was abandoned. Well, then maybe I could have appreciated the scene, but you give me a crappy actor playing out this scene where it's not believable on his part, and he just comes across as some douchebag. I don't get anything out of that.
How many episodes are we in?
6. We got 4 more to go.
Right, so we're 6 episodes in, right? I will agree with Jason's logic. By now, we should have known all of this 2 episodes in, maybe 3. If we're pushing it, right? So half of those episodes, we should be already at this point, and we should be kicking on from now. You know what I mean? Now you said you've got 4 episodes, 4 episodes left. That's not a lot of time now. What is it? 50 minutes an episode, to try squeeze everything in. But
the Romulans have actually got to the point of their plan now. They found the planet of the synths, which I think is what they've been trying to do. How did
he know there was a window in that place in her dream?
That was just the script needed.
What?
What?
Yeah,
that whole looking up. Yeah, that was stupid. Yeah, it was just dumb.
There could have been an enclosed space. Why would he tell her to look up? Do you know what I mean? He's not seeing
I see 2 planets. One of them's red. Oh, well,
obviously, we know who you are. We can kill you now. And, no problem. Like, really? You wouldn't want to keep around me?
One red planet.
Okay, the best thing I think about Star Trek Picard is this, that the after show by Will Wheaton gets less views now than Nerd Rockets after show. That's fantastic. I love that.
But is it true that Picard is not getting enough ratings? Is the ratings bad for Picard?
No one knows. They listen. I think it's true because they hide the ratings pretty much. But nobody knows. I think so. The rumor is that both Amazon and Netflix are going to go to litigation with CBS because they want to be out of the Star Trek business because they keep making. If they lose Amazon, it's game over for them. It's really bad news.
Well, that's I watch it on Amazon. In fact, right. Yeah. I was listening to this podcast, and the last week's episode didn't have the credits. Didn't have the titles in the beginning. So one of my friends who does the podcast, he didn't know what planet they were on. But in the American version, it does have the title in the beginning of where they were.
That's
so
interesting.
yeah, in the UK version, it didn't.
Where were they then? I'm trying to
in the beginning episode where they had the credit of where they were.
Well, when they're drilling out what's name's eyes.
Yeah. Because
I remember.
Yeah, he was talking to an American guy. So the American guy was saying the credit was there. The caption was there, and the British guy was saying it wasn't because he was confused of where it was. So yeah, it's strange, don't you think? It's very strange.
Yeah, well,
little trivia for you.
I
I
remember when Star Trek 4 came out. I was really confused because I saw it in America, and then I came to England. When it came to England, I saw it came out. It had a different title sequence. It was really bizarre.
Yeah.
It was very strange. Bowelstrek, how are you? Thank you for joining us.
Hi. How is everyone?
We're fighting.
Good Lord.
It's cool.
We all have our own cortical implants, so we're all doing well today.
We're frightened for tomorrow for Doctor Who, but we're also heated
I'm
discussion.
not frightened anymore.
Okay.
No, why should we be frightened? If he fucks Cannon up, he's going to see the biggest fan backlash of all time. So bring it on. Bring it on.
Do you think it'll be bigger than Game of Thrones?
Bigger than Game of Thrones?
I don't think so. I don't think it'll be bigger than Game of Thrones.
You never know.
Because Game of Thrones is just a bigger fan.
Look, they are going to get a backlash if they break Cannon. They think they're going to... They've got their head buried in the sand, so they just don't give a shit, right? And if they don't give a shit, well, they're going to give a shit after Sunday. Trust me.
I will. Yes. Well, again, I just we got to see what they're going to do because there's so many things. That's how I feel about Picard, though. What are they going to do this week?
Yeah. We see this. And that's what's killing us because last week we should have got some indication of what the little twat was going to do, but we don't. So we just have to wait now tomorrow and hope for the best. But you know what? At this stage, I don't really care because the fans are not going to be happy either way. So it doesn't matter what he does tomorrow. Even if he doesn't break Cannon tomorrow, he's going to do something that's going to be bad.
He's going to break Cannon. But hey, Star Trek Picard. Bowles, what did you think of this episode?
That show's still on?
Yeah. If you need to sleep, that's what you want to watch.
I watched it. I've already forgotten about it. So I had to bring up the episode description to remind myself of what happened.
I had to do the same. I did exactly the same.
Well, Raffi gets drunk. The acting was terrible as usual. I'm starting to think that this show is let's just introduce a bunch of random people. They'll pop in to say hi, and then we'll just kill them off. So I guess Hugh and Eldorf or whatever his name is went off to get killed, and Picard seems less and less capable of playing the role week after week. I find it hard to watch just because Picard is so incapable of playing the role. And I think watching TNG a lot these past few weeks has not helped because it's just making me more and more depressed.
Yeah.
So this was kind of a nothing episode. Not much happened. We had some dreams. Data Girl has realized that her thing is a fake. Not much happened. Literally,
the big thing that happened was Picard actually met Soji and got away with her.
Yeah.
Oh right, yeah.
We probably already forgot how it ended.
Should have happened in episode 4. That's what I say.
No, it should have happened in episode 3.
Yeah, stretching it out.
Yeah, this could have been a pretty okay. No, it couldn't have been. I was going to say this could have been an okay 5-part series, but no, because it's so not Star Trek. It's not Picard and it's not Star Trek. Which again, maybe they should have named it something else.
And I still hate that ship. That ship is such a bad design. It's
the La Serena.
Yeah, my God, who designed that one? Jeez.
Yeah, La Serena. Doesn't that sound like kind of like a I don't know, like a drug dealer or a porn star or a stripper?
You see that one window it has.
Well, what?
You see the? Was I? Go ahead.
I was just saying I couldn't even remember what the name was. That's
we looked it up earlier because nobody remembered it.
You know,
sounds like some cantina in Mexico.
Yeah. You know the worst thing about that design for the ship is that one single window in the beginning, in the front of it. I hate it. I want to throw a stone at it. It's just that design's so awful.
Is it a window or a?
Yeah, it has a window in the front, like the
now I'm putting
screen.
A picture of it. That's the reason.
It has what they look out of. It's just like a square on it. It's just awful.
Do you see it from the outside, or is it just?
Yeah, there's a shot. There's a shot when it's flying in this episode, and you see it properly. And it looks like it's made out of Lego bricks. Everything's all square and stuff, and it's like, oh, it's so awful.
Oh, I see it. Yeah. I think I see it. Maybe.
Yeah. It's just awful.
What was it? Who in garbage in the chat? He said the ships in first contact DS9 battles like Way of the Warrior. Ships were all cleared. 20 years later, they're fuzzy and blurred. He's so right. Those battles in DS9 were fantastic.
Yeah, because you could see it. See, the thing about today's movies, like let's talk about Superman, right? When you watch the 1978 version of Superman, you can see the beauty of him flying. You see him flying, you see him turn, whatever. You watch the one today, all it is just a blur. It's like you can't even see him. And the same thing with
Hey, you don't tag off Caval Superman.
Here we go.
Actually, guys, if you want to talk about peak special effects and beauty, Superman 4, The Quest for Peace.
Yeah.
My God, it just I love the creativity of using the same flying scene 5 times.
Okay, the greatest special effect in any movie ever was
Empire Strikes Back.
No, better than that.
Damn it.
Muppet movie, Kermit the Frog riding a bicycle.
Oh, yes, of course.
What?
And then there was Great Muppet Caper, where they were all riding the bikes in Battersea Park. It was unbelievable. How did they do that? Yeah, the second one, Great Muppet Caper.
You know, that's what they should do, a Muppet Star Trek. Because I love that in the Muppets movies, they always have Kermit the Frog play, like the Muppet Scrooge. I love that movie.
Yeah,
Kermit the Frog is playing Bob Cratchit, you know. So you could have all the Muppets play characters, and that would that's something I would enjoy watching.
Now, from what I understand, on a serious note, there is a consideration of bringing Anson Mount back as Pike in his own series.
Oh yeah.
So that would be something, because when I watched the clips, because I'm not going to watch, I'm not going to watch Discovery. I'm not going to watch all the episode just to see. No, but from what I've seen of the clips of his performance in Discovery, I mean, I would definitely tune in for a series featuring him as Captain Pike.
Yeah, but he's gonna have a second that berates him, and it's gonna be a woman.
Let's assume that doesn't happen. Let's assume they did things like they should.
I hope so.
Well,
it'll be great if it depends who the showrunner is. If it's going to be Kurtzman, it's going to be garbage.
Well, here's the reason that I am kind of trepidatious about the Captain Pike Enterprise series. Who here saw the short trek with Spock singing?
Oh God! Oh, that was so bad. All the short treks. They're so bad.
Sorry.
That's where we're headed.
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
If it's under Kurtzman, this is the direction he wants to go. And if it's under somebody else, like let's say Kurtzman finally gets exterminated, deleted, whatever. If they bring in somebody competent, and they have to recast Imposter Spock, if they bring in somebody competent, then I'm up for it. If they want to make it actual Star Trek, but if it's going to be singing Spock in #1, I have no interest in seeing it.
But I mean, Kurtzman is involved with Picard too, and we don't see anybody singing in Picard yet.
Yeah,
give it time.
Well, I'm waiting. I'm not with bated breath, but I'll give it. I'll keep an open mind.
Right, but the fact that Kurtzman's involved with Picard, which he isn't so much from what I understand.
Well, he was replaced technically,
right, by Michael Chabon. But like, Picard has been the accolades it's got is it's not bad. It's not like excruciatingly bad. Like Discovery makes you want to rip out your eyes. It's the worst. It's just so bad.
I can watch Picard and I don't want to rip my eyeballs out.
Exactly.
I don't even, to be honest, at this point, I don't even want to review the next series of STD because it just it genuinely makes me angry.
Yeah.
It's soul destroying. It really is. I find that with Doctor Who as well. It's just like I don't know how I'm going to do another season. Oh my god, no, they're back.
Don't do another season. There's no reason to.
I don't have it in me to not do it. Justice for Icheb, yes.
And I swear to God, Noel, why in God's name? I hope you're not planning on reviewing another season of Doctor Who.
I've got a plan for that.
What? What could you possibly?
I'm going to take inspiration from Critical Drinker, and I'm just going to get locked and come on and do me live streams. It's the only way that I'm going to survive Series 13. So
just don't watch it. Just don't watch the damn thing.
I know, but look, let's be honest. We have to review this train wreck.
No, you don't. You really don't.
You know what?
No one has to review.
I have said if they break canon tomorrow, that's it for me, Doctor Who. I'm not going to watch it again. I do not want to sully my idea of Doctor Who with that crap.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm hoping they do that. I hope a lot of people feel the same way, because that way I will continue watching it. I will continue giving my recaps and reviews. And I'll be getting more. I'll get more people watching my stream.
That's what I mean. If I'm mad to be abandoning it now, this is where we can actually make a difference in the fandom. Think about it.
Hold on.
Hang on. If those fans turn away, right? Yeah, we're in the best position.
But if the fans turn away, that's the message to give to them. That's what I'm saying.
Look, I'd say this. After this season, after this 13th season, she's going away. Now, who they picked, I mean, I have no doubt, because most doctors, they do 3 seasons, some 4.
Yeah.
But chances are she's going away after the next season. So whether we raise our voice or not, I'd say you raise it to express interest in, hey, find someone who's competent to play the role. If you're going to do it that way. But
I think all bets are off until tomorrow night. She may have one more. I still think she might only have one more episode.
I think she's gone after the special. I think people are getting hilarious. We don't know yet. She's the only one. Listen, she's the only one that's come out and said she's staying. BBC have not officially confirmed that she's staying yet, right? So until they come out and officially say that she's staying, not her, right? Our boss hasn't even come out and said that she's staying. He's saying that he's staying, but BBC haven't confirmed that he's staying either, right? That he is staying. But I still have a funny feeling that she's going to be made the scapegoat, because he's not going to lose his job.
You know why I think that's not going to happen? I'll tell you why I think that's not going to happen. Did you read the words of Pierce Winger?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, what did he say? Yeah. He said Doctor Who is in fantastic shape. He thinks
editorially,
No. He said he thinks it's fantastic. No, he didn't say. No, he said it. He thinks it's editorially, it's in the best shape it's ever been. No, he said he thinks it's fantastic. In addition to being in the best shape it's ever been editorially.
And we're gonna show him that it's not. Listen,
so my point was simply this: if he thinks it's fantastic and it's in the best shape it's ever been, they're not unhappy with her.
Yeah, but here, Jason, how are they going to justify another fall in the ratings?
Well, how do they justify it now? Yeah. He's coming out and saying that it's fantastic.
Yeah, they don't care. they don't care about anything other than keep going in the way that I think it's the same with CBS as well. Like Star Trek Discovery. Can you believe there's a 3rd season? Well, I can't believe they paid people to write more episodes and film them. Like, how did that happen?
Because saving face for CBS.
Yeah.
Well, those are the ones that look. They're going to try to. I don't want to get off on this agenda thing again, because I know Noel is kind of just a little shit. But honestly, there is an issue with an agenda, and they are pushing this inclusivity and diversity issue, and they are going to try to attach that to shows that have the biggest viewing audience. Now, they may not do it with all the shows, but in my opinion, as long as those shows, and Doctor Who may end up, in the case of Doctor Who and Picard, may end up going so far down that it's not even worth trying to attach the agenda to it anymore, because there's not enough viewing audience to really make a point. But in my opinion, that's why they continue to crank, because if they get enough people watching, if they get some of these big franchises and they can attach a message to it, that's why they'll keep cranking them out. Hopefully, in the case of Doctor Who, you'll get the viewership so low that at some point they'll just abandon that.
Well, I think it's going to tank tomorrow. If he kills Cannon tomorrow, right, the ratings are going to tank. There's going to be an almighty backlash. And there's no way that BBC can hide from it because the media will pick up on it. This is the thing. And then what's the
the media's going to love the power backlash.
They have to make, look, she has to go, he has to go, but I know he won't because he's a sniveling little snake. And but the thing about it is she's not right for the role anyway. So I'd rather still have a competent actor in there, at least for now, until Serious bloody 13 or 14.
I hope you're right, Noel. I hope
well,
you're right.
you know, the canon has been tanking these last 2 seasons regardless. I mean, it's just been tanking. It's just been a slow, you know, like it's been quicksand, so to speak. Whereas now they're just, if this episode goes as many people think it will, it'll just be a torpedo right down the bow. So I tend to think that if it is a major torpedo hit, if it is a direct hit to canon, and there's some you know, some real fallout as a result, yeah, I think what's going to matter really is the viewership, the ratings. That's really, because they don't care what they, you know, they think it's just a bunch of trolls organizing some kind of you know, protest. Whereas
I don't know, but I think the ratings are already low enough that they are.
No, they're not. Look at what, like I said, look, Rabbi, look at what Pierce Wenger said.
Yeah,
despite the ratings.
Yeah, but the fact that he said that, I think, means he's freaked out.
You can look at it both. You can look at it both ways, right? You can look at it both ways. That's the thing.
Say something, right? The fact that he's actually come out and said something shows that they're scared. Chris Chibnall came out before him, and then we had Stephen Moffat and Mark Gatiss before that, right? And then they've had the media then in overdrive, throwing out all these articles, pretending the Doctor Who was great and that everything is all right and that this will all blow over with certain members of the fandom. You know what I mean? It's the same crap. The fact that he's come out shows that they're aware that the fans are not happy.
They've been doing this for a while, though. They've been doing this for a while. They had Jodie Whittaker come out. They'll drag her out. They'll drag Chibnall out. He'll say something. Then now they got Pierce Wingers. He's in damage control. They try to smooth this thing over with either the actors or an exec or something like that. They've been doing this for a while.
Yeah, but how it is, this is the first time Pierce Wenger has actually come out and said something.
He had to say something, didn't he?
The only other time that he came out was when Jodie Whittaker was first cast, when he slated all of Jodie Whittaker's predecessors.
It won't be the last time. He'll come out next season too. They'll be dragging more. They'll probably have some other exec that sticks his neck out in the guillotine.
No, he's coming out to protect his own ass because he's the one that hired.
No, I agree with that.
He doesn't give a fuck about Chibnall. He's just coming out because he knows he has to save his own ass because he's the one that gave him the job.
Well, they all do.
And Chibnall is the one that's cocking it up. And because
they all have to come out and kind of say something in defense of the show because all of their necks are on the line.
Everything, right? All their necks are on the line. So this is why I'm saying, get fans to switch off. Yeah, but people like me, I don't look. Don't get me wrong. I've hated.
Wasn't it about Picard?
Yeah, I know. I mean, we're getting off on Doctor Who.
To bring it back to Picard. How about this? What could they do in Picard that would be as disruptive to Star Trek as we think what they're going to do tomorrow to Doctor Who? Let's go around the panel.
Kill him off.
Do we really want to go that route and give people ideas?
Well, they finished filming. Whatever it is, it's done.
I don't think there is anything in Picard that they can do, even though I grew up with Next Generation. That was my franchise. The thing about it is that when I look at Patrick Stewart on the telly, I don't see Patrick Stewart on the telly.
No, you don't see Picard on the
telly. I don't see
Patrick Stewart.
That's the main point. And I don't see Picard. So
I find it completely distracting now. The whole episode, that's all I can look at. And I actually feel sorry for Patrick Stewart.
Right.
You know, I think it was the wrong decision to go back to this at this point in his life. Like I've said before, if this had been 7 or 8 years ago, but this really hasn't done anything to his acting legacy. It doesn't do anything to the position of Picard and Star Trek fandom. And last week, just the French.
Oh my God! I forgot about that.
In what capacity do you feel sorry for him, though?
Do you know what? Right? What's sad about all of this is that all of us wanted these things to work. Star Wars, Picard, Doctor Who. We all wanted. I was behind Jodie. I was behind her. I was like, yes, let's see what she can do. And my heart was broken For the third,
Well, you were probably behind. You were
we're all
probably
the same.
behind Picard as well as we
well.
all were.
Yes, I was. I was like, Picard's coming back. This is great. Then I remembered Star Wars and Discovery, and my heart sunk a bit. And I said, let me give it a chance. And it's the same shit. What can you do?
Well, I have a video on my channel when the announcement was first made back in
I saw it
2018.
Oh, that's
so yeah,
video.
like I was hoping against hope that this was.
Yeah, I was optimistic too. Yeah,
it
was because
okay, speaking of your channel, everybody's channels is in the video notes. Yeah, can I ask everybody in the chat to like it, everybody on the panel? And if you can hit the like button here and subscribe to everybody in the chat you can subscribe to each other on the panel, that'd be fantastic. Thank you so much.
You know who I feel sorry for? I feel sorry for Bowelstrek because he has to watch that stupid Batwoman thing.
Oh no! Actually, going back to what we were talking about earlier, and I'm just sidestepping it for a minute. But that's how I kind of, if I do continue to review Doctor Who, that's how I'm actually going to approach it. And I've kind of sort of have approached it this season, where my reviews, they're more or less parodies, they're riffs on the episode.
Yeah,
and that's the only way I can continue
because shouting's just going to give you a bad throat. That's what it's going to give you if you shout again.
Yourself. I mean, like, what can you do?
Yeah, I know, it's funny, isn't it?
But let me ask, Bowelstrek, in what capacity do you feel sorry for Patrick? Either Patrick Stewart or his character, I'm not sure.
Well, not maybe not so much his character, because this kind of isn't Picard. But you look at Patrick Stewart. Until now, he was considered one of the greatest actors of the past century, and I guess we can throw Picard into this as well, because Picard was such a strong character. And I've mentioned this before, but when TNG was originally envisioned, Riker was going to be the action character. Picard was going to be the moral center. So a lot of that pulled into Patrick Stewart and his Shakespearean training. And a lot of that character actually comes down to the line delivery.
Yeah.
So the way that he spoke. And if you watch The Next Generation and compare it to this, and I've been going back and forth, it's really noticeable. Because one of the things that made The Next Generation was Patrick Stewart's performance. And this was a performance that was mostly in the voice. And so this is where even though I know a lot of what's going on in this show is they were all his ideas, just watching this man, and you can see desperately trying to play this character that he quit playing almost 20 years ago. You know, you can't help but feel bad for him, because you can tell he's trying to bring that character back, but you can hear it in his voice. It sounds like Picard with laryngitis. He's you know, and it's, you know, we all get old, so it's going to happen to all of us.
And his old age just caught up with him, and that's what to be ashamed of. That's what's happened. Old age just caught up on him. 5 years ago, 7 years ago, this would have been perfect because he still had something about him. It's just and this is a role, again, as you said, it's been a long time since he's played the role as well. Yes, for some people, it's like riding a bike. You get back into character, no problem, but I don't see any resemblance of the old Picard.
Well, here's the thing, though, about this particular role for him as Picard. He's not being written as a 50 or 55-year-old Picard. He's being written as an 80-year-old Picard. So the character himself, he recognizes he's quote unquote old. And that's the thing is he's not, no one's trying to pull the wool over the fans' eyes and say, hey, this is supposed to be the Picard you remember from The Next Gen. It's really not. I think it's been established multiple times that he is old. He is this. That's exactly why he needs Elnor, because he's old. He said it himself.
Okay, right, but even if he's old, right? Why did they take away his stubbornness and his command? Even when you're old, you still have the command. You know, even if your voice is broken, you still have that drive and the command, whatever. And that's what Picard was all about. Why did they take that away from the character?
I can understand that point of view, but I think in terms of we're dealing with a man who doesn't have the commanding presence. That's just part of getting old.
And that's why
I think he still does. I think they just haven't.
No, he doesn't. He does not.
I think
ultimately, my argument with, regardless of the agenda, regardless of the bad scripts, and this is just my opinion, but I think it was a mistake to do this show.
Yeah,
and I think it's just it's too late. And one thing that's kind of sad is William Shatner, who is about 10 years older than Patrick Stewart, probably could still pull off Captain Kirk.
Yeah,
and Tom Baker,
that's the next one, right?
Pull off the Fourth Doctor if you listen to the
actually
audios.
Kicking ass on Twitter. Do you ever see him on Twitter kicking ass with all those trolls?
Yeah.
William Shatner.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
The
Shatner shatters them. I tell you, man, he shatters their little dreams. He's a legend.
No, I think, but honestly, I think what they should have done, and let's just go into mythical fantasy land because that's where I'm happiest these days. But okay, so we're in Happy Land. So the woke Hollywood never happened. Star Trek Discovery never happened. They gave us a great show, but they wanted to go back to this time period.
Right.
Okay, so they wanted to revisit TNG. What I would have done is, because of Patrick Stewart's age, and because, I just, and like I said, it's my opinion, I don't think he can pull off the character anymore. If you wanted to go back to the Next Generation, because keep in mind, Stewart was more than 10 years older than everybody else when that show started. There are other actors that are not necessarily in their prime that could still pull it off. They could do a Captain Riker on the Titan show, just for example. Now, some people will say Jonathan Frakes may not be able to play Commander Riker either. Well, yes, he does. He does kind of look like Santa Claus at the moment. But if he if he lost a little bit of weight, maybe dyed his hair, Jonathan Frakes could still pull off Commander Riker. He's 67, so it's older, but most people in their 60s, especially nowadays, are still fully capable. Michael Dorn could easily pull off a Worf series, and apparently that's in discussion. Brent Spiner is probably out of the question just because he's, again, in his case, he's supposed to play an android that doesn't age, and he's too old. LeVar Burton could easily come back as a secondary character. You have a lot of people have always wanted to see a follow-up from Deep Space Nine, although I don't think Avery Brooks would ever have anything to do with Star Trekking up, but just say, for argument's sake, he would. Then you could bring him back. There were young cast members on Deep Space Nine that are now just in their 50s. Personally, I wasn't a fan of Voyager, so I really don't want to see that show, except for 7 of 9 come back. As a 7 of 9 series would also have been a good idea. So my view is, if they wanted to revisit classic Star Trek, picking Patrick Stewart at this time in his life was a mistake. There were other options that would have worked just as well. My personal favorite, or what I would have liked to see, would be a 7 of 9 series, because I could never bring myself to hate Jerry Ryan, or a Captain Riker series.
Well, Captain Pike with Anson Mount would have been one that I would have gone for, because he's young enough that he could still pull it off. But if we're talking about Next Generation, if that's what you're talking about, I thought Jonathan Frakes would have made a perfect captain in and of itself. Just take Patrick Stewart out of the equation altogether from the get-go. But that was just my take on it.
That's actually Frakes was terrified to be on camera, apparently.
Who was the person that said would have been great if they did a Star Trek series, but had all the ones from the show in this one series, and story arcs going left, right, and center? So Janeway, Picard, Frakes, do you know what I mean? All of them in this show. I thought that would be a good idea. Bring them all back, but they've all got different.
Janeway what became the actress? She looks terrible. I mean, she is not camera ready. Secondly, she's absolutely crazy. She's barking mad. She's well into the Me Too thing. But whatever. What I think they could have done, if they wanted to do this show to show the degeneration of the Federation, they could have woken Picard up he could have from a time warp from about 1,000 years in the future, and he's in this world he doesn't recognize. And then it wouldn't feel so much like a bastardization of Star Trek, which is what it feels like. Because at least you have the time. Yeah.
Well, I think what they could have done, say if they did a Captain Riker series, there are actors from the 90s Star Trek that could, like Jerry Ryan, Nicole DeBoer, she's only in her late 40s. Siddig Fadil, or Alexander Siddig, he's in his 50s. He'd be more than capable of coming back. Terry Farrell, well, they killed off her character, but maybe she could come back. From Voyager, Robert Picardo.
Yes.
Come back. Oh, he's so great. Yeah. Nana Visitor, you didn't mention her. She could.
Yeah, actually, she was supposed to be on the Orville as well, but the timing didn't work out. Yeah, she's I think she's 60 now, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah,
she looks fantastic.
Gates McFadden still looks incredible for her age. She's in her 60s. So there are, we are almost 2 decades now removed from that era of Star Trek. But there are many characters or many actors that are capable of coming back. And a lot of them would be willing to come back. We know Avery Brooks will never come back, so that's out of the question.
Yeah, what's the story with him? Why is he so mad at Star Trek?
Well, if you watch it in Deep Space Nine, and you can even see it in clips, the cast on Deep Space Nine was different than the cast on The Next Generation. The Next Generation, they were all friends. Most of them are friends until this day.
Right.
On Deep Space Nine, Avery Brooks, even when he was on the show, always had this distance that he kept between him and everyone else. And there's one clip that's actually kind of sad, and I think it's on one of the DVDs. If I'm not mistaken, but it was in Series 7 when they got Nicole DeBoer to give a tour of the sets, and she's like, "Oh, it's my friend Avery Brooks," and he just kind of brushes her off, like, "Go away."
Oh, really?
Well, he didn't actually say that. And he's actually said that the only cast member on that show that he kept any relationship with was Sherlock Lofton, who played Jake.
I was going to say that. Yeah,
the father figure. But from what I can gather, he had a distance from everyone else, and so it doesn't surprise me that he doesn't want to come back to Star Trek. From what I gathered, the man behind the camera was nothing like Captain Sisko. He was a very private person,
right?
And I think he's decided that he wants to leave that in the past.
Right.
And and obviously Rene Auberjonois unfortunately has passed away. I would have loved to have seen Odo again. I think that was one of Star Trek's best characters. Armin Shimmerman, Quark, he could come back. He's
I would love to see that. A Ferengi. So would it like a 4-hour Ferengi miniseries? I would love that.
Yeah, there's so many ways they could go with this.
I love the Ferengi series, the episodes of Deep Space Nine. They're all my favorite episodes. Remember the one where they were stealing a cloaking device and they were just pretending to carry it because it was they cloaked the cloak. That was brilliant. I love that.
It was a brilliant addition because the reason they brought Quark into Deep Space Nine is they knew this was going to be a darker show from the outset. It hadn't planned to be as dark as it became until Ira Steven Behr got control of the show, and then we got the Dominion War. But they knew this was going to be a darker show, kind of like what STD thought it was doing. But they needed to do something to balance this out. So that's why they brought the Ferengi, and specifically Quark and Odo, to a lesser extent, their battle. That was brought into light in the series, and it did it wonderfully. I think any season of Deep Space Nine, my favorite episodes always ended up being the Ferengi episodes. The one where they end up on Earth in the late 1940s, I think that might be one of my top 5 episodes.
That's the one where they're in the parallel with the writing of the science fiction magazine.
No, that was the dream one. No, that's the one where they go back to they travel back in time to Earth. Right,
and then the Roswell aliens.
Yeah, they go to
that one. Yes, and also he says, you guys shouldn't be smoking. Right, that's the one where they talk about not smoking in Star Trek.
Yeah,
but that's the Ferengi. The Ferengi think Star Trek smoking's bad for you, but now Raffi's vaping up a storm.
It's grand. You're allowed to smoke now and drop the F-bombs.
Oh
yeah. I would love just to piss all them off in Neelix series. Because he was one of the most irritating characters ever. So I'll just bring him back and that'll just wreck everybody's head.
What's the one where they merged him with this other? When they merged him and Tuvix.
Yes, that episode.
Which was really weird because like Tuvix was so much better of a character than both of them put together.
Yeah.
Do you remember that episode of Deep Space Nine when it was an anniversary, and they met? Well, they were on a ship with Captain Kirk and Spock. I thought that special effects was really amazing. I was like, the way they meld those shots in, it was really good.
They're absolutely fantastic. These the effects were fun. I love it when Kirk sits down on a tribble and looks over at Terry Farrell and she's like rugs.
It's really good. And the bit where he's there's that big line and he said, "Who start the fight?" and he talks to, I can't remember what's the Irish guy's
O'Brien's
name.
In it.
Yeah, O'Brien talks to O'Brien. Yeah, that's really good. That's really
okay.
Cool.
Question for the panel.
Yeah.
When was it that you realized this Kurtzman Trek was as bad as it is?
STD from the very first episode.
At what point in STD? Because for me, it was a long time.
No,
I
it
was
wasn't
really
for me.
enjoying it for a while.
The very first episode, right, was badly performed. The story's all over the place. I remember being so disappointed in the first episode. The acting was awful in the first episode, even from, and then suddenly I thought, let me give it a chance. And it just got worse and worse and worse, in my opinion.
I couldn't get past the acting in the first 20 minutes. I gave it 25 minutes and that was it. I couldn't I never watched the first episode. I couldn't finish it.
Yeah.
I was just so excited to see Star Trek on TV again. I was like, oh, it looked new, it was shiny. I like the whole it looked different. I was right up until they took their break for Christmas and they came back in the Mirror Mirror universe. That whole first run, I even like Harry Mudd. Here's what I think. I think that everything I liked about it was Brian Fuller's stuff, and they kind of ran out of that after the first 10 episodes.
Yeah. You're talking about Discovery?
Yeah. I'm talking about when was it that when we first realized that
I wish I had stopped after the first 20 minutes, but I gave STD actually 6 episodes.
Oh Jesus!
6, and that was it. Listen, I agree. The acting in this was fucking awful. It was actually awful, and I'm sorry, I did not know what the hell was going on in it at all. I didn't know what blonde doctor was up there. I don't know what the crap that substance was. I don't want to know. I don't care.
Right off the bat, we're hit up with
his name as well. Just fucking did it for me as well. What is that? You bleeding clowns.
right off the bat, within. You learn right off the bat that it's just women, and fine, but make them good actresses.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
I've got to admit though, I did like the twist that it was the Mirror Universe thing, and I can't remember the commander's name. He was from the Mirror Universe. I liked that. I rember. I
guess that's where I started not liking it because I thought that twist was just so dumb. It just didn't work. I'm like, well, how are they the Mirror? How did he get over there? What happened to this Lorca? And it just seemed to be they were playing like member bearers before it became a thing.
Well, I could tell you,
I hate the design of the Discovery ship. It's just awful. The design.
Well, that's from Star Trek Phase 2. There was an
it was a reject design from the 70s, but that's actually where I started to grow concerned. And this was well over a year. I think even in early 2016. Does anybody remember when they released that awful video of just the outside of the ship? That's when I started to grow concerned.
I remember.
And then I got so excited by that because I'm like, oh my god, this is Star Trek Phase 2. And I was like, they're really going back to like really genuine Star Trek, going in a whole different direction. So I got really excited when I saw that design. So I was slow for the boat.
You also had the constant, like the series was delayed over and over again for well over a year. So I grew concerned when there were behind the scenes issues, and Midnight's Edge, if you go back to their videos from the time, they actually documented this perfectly. So I was concerned going into it, but when it started, I'm like, well, okay, we'll give this a shot. I'm not a big fan of the Kurtzman movies. So I'm like, well, it's Star Trek, so we'll see.
Yeah.
And so I watched it the night it debuted. We had it on our Canadian sci-fi station. And my God, I only did one video for season 1 of STD, and it was a video based on that. And I eventually did watch the entire season, but I trailed off. I'm like, this is awful. And the only reason I ended up finishing season 1 was because I decided I was going to do videos for season 2. And then as I watched, and God, if you think it's bad watching it a week at a time, try watching the second half of season 1 in marathon mode. It was a day in hell. But yeah, no, right off the bat, within the first scene, the Giorgio Michael Burnham scene where the acting is just terrible, and then they walk and make the Star Trek insignia, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. And then we get into it. Then we got the first episode with the actual on Discovery, 3 episodes in. And what struck me was unremarkable characters. The ship was kind of ugly. It didn't feel like Star Trek. And it was mean-spirited from the beginning. And mean-spirited is not Star Trek. And that mean-spiritedness has carried through to Star Trek Picard. Yeah. So it's, right away, within the first probably minute, as soon as they started talking, I'm like, this is crap.
You know what it did it for me, though, was I had to watch it, the last episode where she was Iron Man, and she kind of got into that suit and she flew, where she could have just got into the ship where Spock was in. Yeah, why did she have to fly?
There's so many plot holes. There's so many plot holes. Yeah. No. Did you see these Discovery season 2?
Oh, sorry, guys. Just stepping away for a quick second. I'll be right back.
No problem.
I didn't bother with Discovery season 2.
Oh my God, it's so dumb. It's so incredibly dumb. There's just like things they have to go to there's a bit where they got to fix up this Iron Man costume, and they just find this platform floating in space.
I know.
Do you know how big space is? It's the biggest thing you can imagine. And then they do, And
I had that conversation on the rock thing, and everybody's battling, and yet nobody goes, "Wait a moment, we'll just blast them." Just battle all around them. It's crazy. It didn't make any sense. They do this thing for effect.
Also, like they hit, like you had the bad guy's ship show up, and he's going, "Ha ha! Now I got you!" And his ship breaks up into a billion little ship. I'm like, oh God, it's so dumb. It's so stupid.
It is. It was really, really stupid. That the whole idea of that season was just rubbish. Let's face it. Who's that girl with the ginger hair again? Who's running? The girl with the ginger hair. She's like a bit portly. She was running. She beats all those other guys when she was running.
No, I'm telling you, to take the sting out of Doctor Who, you got to watch Discovery season 2. It's so dumb. Oh my God.
Yeah, no, it's terrible, isn't it? Absolutely terrible.
After watching Doctor Who, you want to make me worse and give me brain. I just want to read a question there. Six Stick Production says, and move on with your lives. I've seen another comment from you there earlier, which I'm not going to respond to anyway, but I will respond to that one. Well, you see, we're fans, and even though we're giving out about a show, we're entitled to do that because we are fans. There's other fans out there that will praise this garbage. They can praise it if they want to praise garbage. We just refuse to praise garbage, right? And as I said, the thing is, the difference between fandoms now and fandoms back in the day is that you will see that a lot of the fandoms had a lot of older fans. They know what it is to be a fan because they've been in fandoms a long time. They've bought the merchandise. They've grew up with these other shows as kids. This is part of that extension of that universe. So they're very protective of what they watch. So they have every right to criticize because they are fans. Yeah. And it's so easy for someone to say, move on with your lives, because, that's the attitude of today's modern family. If you don't like it, just walk away. It's not that easy. If it
you don't understand. We love this stuff. We literally love it. Yeah. We can't walk away from it.
We are fans, and that's the point I'm trying to make. I'm not having a go at you. All I'm just saying is it's not easy to walk away from something that you've been emotional.
But also, right, us as fans of Star Trek and Doctor Who and all those kind of shows, right, we always get put upon, like, it's all right for somebody to like Arsenal, right? And it's fine for them to go crazy and scream at the screen and have fights over it and stuff like that. But when we like Star Trek and Doctor Who, somehow we're just stupid, or we should get on with our lives. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, sod you, man.
Well,
this
it's easy to
our
do.
life,
It's easy to do if you're not invested in a show, if you have no if you have no attachment to a franchise. Sure, it's easy to do. You can move on with your life if you don't like something. I mean, I could walk away from Doctor Who tomorrow and not shed a tear because I'm not really that invested in the Doctor Who franchise.
And you don't make any bones about it, but that's the way it just is. You, as you said, you might, after this abomination ends, come back to Doctor Who one day and actually start to like it from then on in, and then become a fan.
But I do think if you're a fan of a franchise, if you look, this isn't just about TV shows. This is about music too. If you like a band, whatever you like, if you like a product, and you've been a fan of that product for a long time, and the product is a TV show, it's a band, it's music, it's whatever. You're going to want to let your voice be heard. Let the people that are behind it know that you're not happy. Let other fans know you're not happy. Send the message out so that it can change.
Exactly. Well done.
Can you imagine if the Coca-Cola company treated their customers the same way that CBS and BBC treat their customers when Coca-Cola put out new Coke and everybody hated it? Can you imagine if Coca-Cola turned around and said, well, you're a racist. You're a bigot because you don't like what the hell? No, they changed it because they like selling Coca-Cola.
Yeah. Exactly. This is what baffles me about most of these companies. They keep writing these shows that they know that the original fans of these characters are not going to like. They know what they're doing. It's clever. They know what they're doing, right? But at the same time, they're losing money. Look, they can lose money for now, right? But they're not going to be able to lose money for much longer. And that goes for the BBC as well. At some stage, something's got to give. And then, wait, you see, slowly but surely, and it's already happened. A couple of movies like The Joker have gotten through now, and they're getting high praise. It's starting to happen now. People are starting to realize that if there isn't much agenda in a movie, if you're not shoving it down people's throats, people will go and see that movie. It's like Sonic the Hedgehog. I saw it. Yeah, Birds and Prey fans came out before Sonic was even released, and they were coming out with their fake reviews saying that Sonic the Hedgehog, the dialogue was homophobic, and that they brought their sons and their husbands to see Birds of Prey instead. The sad and pathetic thing about it was they were all using the same tweet, but actually adding their own words.
Yeah, I saw that. It's so stupid.
The movie wasn't even out yet. So this is how sad and pathetic these people are. They'll do anything, but look, they're not making money. Birds of Prey is going to lose money now. It's not even going to break even. It'll be lucky to break even. So at the end of the day, they can only go so far with this crap. Let me address
this comment. Quick Sticks Productions writes, you're not entitled to getting your own way where you may not find value where others may find value. Typically, if I stop liking a show, I don't continue watching it for another 3 seasons. Well, let me tell you, nobody's watching the show because we're so crazy about it. We're watching it because we think it sucks and we want change. That's why. If you're a fan of a show and you don't like something, you keep watching it so you can give your input so that the people that are making it will make changes. No, we don't think we're entitled to anything, but we are entitled to have an opinion. And that's exactly what we're doing. You're expressing an opinion so you can incite change. But what is the alternative? To shut up, to walk away? If everybody took that attitude and followed that logic to its logical conclusion, you would have no negative reviews. And guess what the BBC or any other production company would think? Our show is a wild success. Let's keep doing the thing that the people who are fans don't like.
Well, so he came out with something else here. If someone else wouldn't take it.
If Coke stopped making OG Coke, sure, the previous history of your shows has not been taken away. It's there. You've not lost anything. Well, except the quality of the show. Yeah. And that's our opinion. The show. We used to like Doctor Who. We've just had a golden age of Doctor Who for the last 10, 15 years, a gold which has been taken away from us, and it's been taken away from us because some idiots can make some social agenda points that nobody actually disagrees with. I wish you could get this guy on the panel so we could have a real chat with him. I mean,
hold on, but we have to say that we respect his opinion, right? That's what we have to do. We have to say that. It's you know.
That's understood. No one's,
he can have his opinion.
No one's saying he can't have his opinion, but when he says things like, if a consumer knew what they wanted, there would be no need for an artist. Look, obviously there's a need for an artist, but who are you writing your music for? Who are you making your TV shows for? Are you making them for yourself? Then you don't need to distribute it. You don't need to put it on air. If that's who you're making it for, then you don't need to advertise your show. But if you're making it for people, listen to feedback. If you're not willing to listen to feedback, then keep making your show. But don't be surprised if the damn thing tanks.
Yep. Yeah. And another example that I'd like to throw in there, and it's very rare, but there are instances where complaining does make a difference. Look at Sonic. They came out with that trailer, which was terrifying in terms of Sonic. but look at what has happened. And instead of attacking the fans, calling them names, the director came out on Twitter. It's like, okay, we've listened to the fans. We know we've screwed up. So what did they do? They went back. They pushed back the release date. They redid Sonic, so it looks like Sonic. Yeah. And look at how well the movie is performing.
And it was good because I saw it today.
It was the biggest opening for a video game based movie ever.
Yeah, and I'm not even really a Sonic fan. I prefer Mario. You know,
that film was terrible.
Look, it's about supply and demand, man. I mean, if you have a product and people want it, great. I mean, if you can sell your product and there's a lot of people who are for it, wonderful. But this guy writes, in your subjective opinion, another fan might think the last 15 years is garbage. Well, that's wonderful. And if everyone agrees that the last 15 years is garbage, well, then I guess the show is, might do well today. But if the overwhelming majority of opinion is the show sucks and the company keeps cranking out these what most people consider garbage, then the company shouldn't be, no one should be confused if the product just isn't selling. If people stop watching, if, ratings start to tank, no one should be, surprised at that. And the point is, if you don't let your voice be heard, change will never occur. Yeah. If there's any chance that change is going to happen, it's going to be because people are vocal.
Absolutely right.
Not because they shut their trap.
And there are people out there that do hate New Who from those of us that have been there from the time we came back. There's always been that contingent that didn't like New Who. But you have to look at it. Up until, really Capaldi's second season, you look at the numbers. You look at the way it was perceived. It was successful. And, those of us on the U.S.-Canada side of the border are probably even seeing the effects of this more than you are in the UK. Doctor Who used to be huge here. In Canada, it actually exploded with Christopher Eccleston because CBC Canada actually had part ownership of the program for 3 years. So it absolutely exploded here in 2005. In the US, it exploded with Matt Smith and Netflix when they brought the entire show, including New Who, to Netflix. It exploded. Doctor Who was everywhere. You could go into a shop. Toy Store, you'd see Doctor Who toys everywhere. You go and look at DVDs and Blu-rays, they were everywhere. You look at Warner Brothers handles distribution for Doctor Who in Region 1, DVD and Blu-ray. And you can't really use the example that this is physical media fading away because Doctor Who fans, science fiction fans, typically are collectors. So they are going to be the ones that are going to be buying the product. Warner is contracted still to put out the new series. And Series 11, the DVD and Blu-ray, a lot of companies didn't even bother carrying it. Best Buy Canada, for example, didn't even carry it in their stores because they knew it wasn't going to sell. Walmart had to send most of these DVDs and Blu-rays back. This would have been unheard of a few years ago. So yes, there are people that do not like New Who. They are fully entitled to that opinion. Just as we are entitled to our opinion to not like this era of Doctor Who. Exactly. But you can't say that there hasn't been a change. And no, we're not adjusting Rotten Tomatoes, even though Rotten Tomatoes keeps resetting the audience score. God knows how many times they've done that. Everybody can vote. to be honest, I've never voted on Rotten Tomatoes for Doctor Who. But if you compare the audience reaction from even the later Capaldi series compared to what you're seeing now, they hate it. And these are not bots. Read the comments. These are people that love the show. It has nothing to do with gender. Most of them, including myself, I might add, didn't care that they changed the gender as long as they did it effectively. They didn't. People hate this show. Read Rotten Tomatoes. Look at the comments that they haven't deleted. They are not bots. They are not misogynist. They are not racist. They are people that are asking, what the hell has happened to this show? Why is it lecturing to me? Why is the writing terrible? You could say the same thing with Star Trek Discovery. We don't know the official numbers because CBS will not release them, but we do have a lot of inside information from various channels, which does kind of seem to hold up, that nobody likes Star Trek Discovery. So, no.
Well, I think
but oh yeah, go ahead, Jason.
Well, no, I was just going to say, I think a lot of the reason why Rotten Tomatoes keeps resetting it is because they're buying into the same logic that a lot of Hollywood insiders and a lot of people in Hollywood and elsewhere seem to buy into, which is that there's an organized effort to undermine these shows by trolls. And they genuinely believe that. And I think in the case of Rotten Tomatoes, they genuinely think, because a lot of the comments on Rotten Tomatoes and elsewhere have been used as the evidence of trolldom. Just comments that we on the panel would say, of course, that's how we feel. No, these are used as evidence of what a troll would say. And Rotten Tomatoes, and I believe in I don't believe I don't think they're doing it out of some, in order to manipulate the ratings. I think they genuinely believe the ratings, that the show's being review bombed. They've been led to believe that the comments that we tend to think are genuine, these are genuine viewers, these are genuine fans, those are perceived as trolls. Those are perceived as comments by trolls. And that seems to be the consensus among a lot of, well, I consider it the fringe, but by the people who are, in higher positions, people who are at, say, Rotten Tomatoes sees that and says, oh, well, these are trolls. That's how I see it. I think they think they're doing a genuine service by trying to reset it to weed out the troll, the review bombing. I think it's a way to try to stifle the review, what they consider review bombing. Is it? No, of course not. But I think they genuinely think that it is.
Oh yeah, actually. Oh no, sorry, Rabbi. There's just another comment that I wanted to address. That's because physical media is not as popular as it was years ago. No, it isn't. But within certain fan communities, I'd say horror and science fiction, they are. But if you compare the Whittaker releases, so there have been 4 of them, a DVD and Blu-ray for Series 11 and a DVD and Blu-ray for Resolution. You compare that to the sales of Doctor Who DVDs and Blu-rays that are not related to this era, they're doing very well. The classic series Blu-ray releases are doing very well in Region 1. They re-released the complete series of David Tennant on Blu-ray. Amazon sold out of it several times. They couldn't keep it on the shelves. And it was going for a good price. It was going for $40. Warner has also put all of the classic series back into circulation through Warner Archive. So there is demand for Doctor Who. Everything in Region 1. And I used to be a DVD and Blu-ray review channel, so I do know what I'm talking about. Even though I don't cover that stuff anymore, I still keep up with it. There is demand for Doctor Who in Region 1. Nobody, and I mean nobody, wants the Jodie Whittaker era. So no, that argument doesn't. If you compare it to the DVDs, if you compare it to the Blu-rays, they are doing well. They are selling out.
He replies to you both. What I'm against is
boycotting. Yeah. Sorry.
I'm going to be because you're not getting what you want. That's what children. No, we're just not buying it because we don't want it.
That's not a boycott.
By saying
a boycott is, hey, don't watch the show, don't buy anything from the company. We're not saying that. We're saying, hey, watch the show, but we think it's garbage. And if you agree with us, then let's write the BBC or let's do this or let's let our voice be heard so that changes can be made. If you don't think that people should voice their opinion because they don't like something in order for change to occur, if you think that's boycotting, then you've really got a skewed definition of what boycotting really is.
Are you a fan? Are you a fan of Jodie's era? Quick six.
No, we're not. I'm not who's calling? Some of us are calling for cancellation of the show. Some of us are. I'm not. I'm saying we want changes.
Are
you a fan?
This might be aimed at me, right? Because I have.
Well, we've all made that point a time or two. If you're not going to make changes, then cancel the show.
Boycott the show. But I haven't asked for this show to be cancelled. What I have said is if this show ends up being cancelled because of BBC's incompetence, then that's fair enough, right? I'd rather see it die than see it be sullied anymore. Now, as we've all said on this panel, you are entitled to every single opinion that you're making. You seem to have a problem with every single opinion that we're making on this panel, and that is the difference here. We don't have a problem with you making your opinions, but you seem to have a problem with us, like every other person that supports this era. Get over it. At the end,
why is that? I want to ask these fans. Why
you like something, we hate something. It's going to be a couple of years down the line. You may not like Doctor Who, and the shoe may be on the other foot. So until you're in that situation, you should really consider that. There is fans out there that actually don't like this, and everything that Bowelstrek just told you there is absolutely spot on. Spot on. If you put Jodie Whittaker on the cover of a Doctor Who magazine or you put her on the cover of Radio Times, those magazines automatically lose money.
They take hits. They do. It's crazy.
Right? They take hits. Why do you think the Radio Times this time, not the Radio Times, Doctor Who magazine this month or last month decided to put Sasha on one cover and Jodie Whittaker on the other cover? It's the save face because everybody will buy the Sasha one, right? But BBC don't have to let people know which cover was bought the most. They can keep that to themselves.
Yep.
For me, that would be my question to them. Which cover sold the most this month? Sasha's or Jodie Whittaker's? I'm not a betting man, but I could make a bet with you, and I guarantee.
I'll make a bet on that. I'll tell you
that Sasha's version of the Doctor Who magazine sold more copies than Jodie Whittaker's.
But the question hasn't been asked. The question needs to be asked.
It might be hard for you to grasp, but there's only a minority of you fans that actually like Jodie Whittaker. And you have the bigger voices right now because you have bigger people supporting us behind the scenes.
Is he a fan?
The show is pandering to you. But there will come a day when the show won't pander to your side of the fandom. And then you're going to have a real problem because you've been gone around having a problem with us fans for 3 years because of our opinions on Jodie Whittaker this era. And at the end of the day, we don't care that people like this. The only problem that we ever have is that you always come after us when we have a problem with it.
Is he a fan?
Yes,
he's a fan.
I think he's a fan.
He's a fan. He's been watching the show since he was 9, according to him.
Okay, good.
So they all say that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm taking him at his word, but
yeah, I mean, it's fair enough.
Hold on, he's watching the show since he's 9 years of age. I'm not claiming that he's not a fan, but how old is he? I bet you he's in his mid-20s or early 30s.
Don't know.
If he's 12, that's not so long. That's a good point. If he's 10, he's probably seen. Poor guy.
Well, the point is, I mean, if he's a fan, he's a fan. I mean, if he likes the show, great.
Yeah, listen, good, more power to you. You like it, great.
But it's comments like, okay, let me just cherry pick for a second. Quick Sticks Productions previously wrote it about 5 minutes ago. They regurgitate your community's points. I assume he's talking about the comments on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he can clarify. They regurgitate your community's points. You were a tight, mobilized community that I've seen swarm countless platforms. I'm not against people not liking the show. Well, first off, I don't know what you mean by tight, mobilized community. There's a lot of people who agree and make the same points because they all feel the same way. It doesn't mean we're all collectively together and we're all organized. There's a lot of people that just tend to have the same perspective because they all see the same thing.
Let me tell you, there is no organization in the fandom menace.
No.
Okay, what I can tell, zero, none, no coordination.
But that's the kind of comment that I was talking about. It's this kind of attitude, thinking that there's some organized plot by trolls to take down these shows. And I don't know if that's what he's saying, but it's a slice of that. It's a slice of that in the sense that there's an organized effort here. We're organized. There's a community that swarms. Use that word swarm. Is really kind of telling. No, there's no swarm of anything. There's just a lot of people that aren't happy that make the same points and see the same things. I mean, if you're looking off in the distance and you see an elephant and everybody's saying, "Hey, that's an elephant," it's not because everyone's organized and talking to one another. They just they see the same thing.
Here's the thing. He's just put up a question there. He says, I am really friendly with people who don't like this era. It's nothing to do with personal opinions. Why I'm against boycotting and using as a platform to push bigotry. Right.
What? Where does bigotry come from?
I will address that. Right.
Well, let Bowelstrek address it.
I do agree with you that there is some elements of the not my doctor side that are racist bigots, right, and do push a certain agenda. But again, there's a misconception here that just because there's a small minority of fans, just like there is a small minority of fans that like this show, that it's all fans. And that is simply not the case. I think we're getting into a very dangerous situation.
Well, it's bigotry to assume that all fans think that way. That is bigotry. If you're implying that because there's a faction of the fan base that thinks a certain way, therefore the entire fan base that supports a certain position are also lumped into that stew. That's in itself a form of bigotry.
Yep,
I agree.
I have to say, I've never seen like such open bigotry, I would say racism, than the people who generally are like really beating the drum to support. I'm not saying they're under the blanket of it, but the people on Twitter, the blue check marks, who clearly this era of Doctor Who is trying to appease and play to. I've never seen bigotry like that. I grew up in the 80s, and the idea that you're going to start judging somebody on their skin color or their sexual orientation or their gender or whatever, it's obscene. Yeah. And now it's the first fault of Chris Chibnall on who he's going to hire. Yeah. It's not based on talent, or it's based on this stupid, racist, bigoted stuff. Which and they turned the Doctor into one of these blue checkmark Twitterati. Yeah, the Doctor is now a bigoted racist, in my opinion.
I want to hear what Bowelstrek has to say. Bowelstrek, I want to hear your thoughts, mate.
Okay, something just came up here. I would consider Bowelstrek a bigot, to be honest.
What?
Wow.
Okay.
Well, hold on. Before you
let me take this on. Okay.
Let Bowelstrek speak.
Let me address this, Noel. Okay, so quick sticks. Look at my videos. When have I attacked anybody because they are a woman or they are not white? I don't go after people because of race. And I'm sorry, but you're 23, so your youth is showing. Many of us grew up in the 80s. Things were different back then. Things have reversed. They are now in the opposite direction. Yeah. I don't go after people because they are not a white male, a straight white male, whatever. My whole argument is equity versus equality of opportunity. That's where my entire argument comes from. And you've heard me, and I know for a fact you've heard me say this in videos. I don't care what your race is. I don't care what your gender is. I don't care what your sexual orientation is. I care that you earned your position.
Yes.
And in 2020, we are not seeing that. We are actually seeing the complete reverse of what those of us that were around in the 1980s saw. So what we are seeing now is reverse bigotry.
Exactly.
Yeah, but Bowelstrek
and diversity initiative, it's discrimination. What is it? They have categories. These categories specifically omit straight white males. So no, we are seeing reverse discrimination. And I wouldn't even call it reverse discrimination. It is clear discrimination. And honestly, I'm getting tired.
You literally hate the new James Bond trailer. What the?
Yeah, wait.
Did you read the comment, Bowelstrek?
He responded to you. Or whatever
You literally hated the new James Bond based off the lead being black. No,
I didn't. Difference, you fucking plank. Do you not know the difference?
I'm gonna turn this over to Noel. I've been arguing.
There is a difference.
I'm sorry. I don't need to. I don't need to be ageist. There are many young people that have a brain on their heads, but I'm sorry, Bart, you are one of these 23-year-olds that think you know everything about life. I'm sorry, you're a fucking kid. You don't know shit. And how do I know that? Because I didn't know shit when I was 23. Exactly. Stop telling people that are twice your age how the fucking world works. Honestly, I am so sick of you little shits. And sorry, guys, that's the end of that.
Okay, I'm not monetizing
everyone away.
Well, let me just.
Here's the thing. Can I just add? I'm not going to go on a big rant here, but Bowelstrek already has explained this about several times on videos, right? And he has said that when he calls people diversity hires, he does it for a reason. He gets a reaction. Oh, okay, boomer.
Yeah, okay, boomer. You know what, kid? I'm tired of arguing with you. Go fuck yourself. No, honestly, I'm not. I've been arguing with this idiot for months. You're 23. You don't know shit. Fuck off.
Actually, you know what you should do, Rabbi? Wrench one of the people in the chat and just get rid of it.
Well, hold on. You know, here's the definition.
I think we had an interesting.
I think this is
entertaining, quite frankly.
I get on these rants.
I love it.
Now and then, so we're back to happy monotoned.
You know what? But I don't get this response. Okay, boomer. Is that supposed to be because I'm not trying to cause that in here. Is that supposed to be some sort of insult?
No.
It is.
It's supposed to be. It's supposed to be dismissive. All right. That's all it is. It's supposed to be dismissive.
I want to make clear. He responds, okay, boomer. I don't discount everybody that is 23. Most of you are perfectly reasonable, perfectly fine people, like our friend Daniel. He's only 24. He's got more life experience than you'll probably have at 50. I'm talking about this 5%, and these are the people that I deal with on Twitter on a daily basis. I'm sorry, but I'm talking to the 5%, not the other 95. Once again, you're kids, you don't know shit. Shut the fuck up. God, you're going to feel like a fucking idiot in 20 years when the world kicks you in the ass and you learn how things work. You've been brainwashed all your lives, and the fact that people like Daniel and so many others have been able to see through it, and the fact that you are just quoting woke talking points just shows that you are what I call a low IQ individual. You're hopeless. And you know what? Karma is coming, and what you're going to get in a few years, especially if you're a white male, you deserve every bit of it. So in 20 years, when the world kicks you in the ass and say you are denied a job or a role because you are the wrong demographic, go back to this video and see if you still feel the same way. Well, I didn't think this.
Yeah, when you're drinking,
I was just coming in to talk about.
Same here.
Listen,
you're a legend, Bowelstrek.
You've been battling this guy for the last, I don't know, you say several months, right? And if we look at the definition of bigotry, it's obstinate or intolerant devotion to one's own opinion and prejudice.
I'm gay, so I guess
that doesn't necessarily imply race or anything. It basically implies you're just devoted to you're intolerant of you're intolerant. And you have an intolerant devotion to your own opinion and your own prejudices.
What has your sexuality got to do?
Here's another thing that I want to bring up. I don't care what your sexual orientation is, but if you use it to describe your entire self-identity, and if you use it as a shield to attack other people, then you're a piece of shit.
Exactly.
Well, my point was, if this guy's got if you got 3 months of battling this guy and he hasn't.
Oh no, it's been like a year.
Okay, if it's been a year, come on. If it's been a year and this guy's making the same points and not even being open to what you're saying, obviously this is that's why I quoted it. This is the very definition of bigotry, very definition of it. A year and you're still asking the same stupid questions, and you're still taking the same point of view, even though you've been corrected. I don't get it.
All right. What's it? I need to wrap up in a minute because it's just gone midnight for me. I'll just say this.
As Bowelstrek gets disinvited from the stream.
No! Oh, no! You're fantastic! I was just going to say this about So you go ahead.
Oh, he says.
Hold on. I want to say one thing. Bowelstrek, you're a legend, mate. You're a legend. That's all I can say. Carry on.
Thank you. And everybody in the chat, if you've not checked out Rebecca Gold and Mega Geek, I must congratulate you again on yet another award. I love that series. I've watched it multiple times. And if anybody watching this has not checked it out, Rebecca Gold, absolutely awesome web series.
I am looking forward to watching it. I'll probably watch it before Doctor Who tomorrow. I just want to say this one thing about prejudice. The word prejudice, the etymology of it means you prejudge, prejudice. If you're prejudicial, you've judged something without you come in with an initial judgment. That's what prejudice is. People who dismiss a female Doctor Who out of hand, that was prejudice. They turned out to be right. Who knew? But they turned out to be right. But if you're going in and you think this guy's a racist because he happens to not like this Star Trek, this Doctor Who, that is prejudice. And I would suggest don't do that.
Sure, listen, he's only following the same rhetoric as all those other little twats that are on Twitter and YouTube doing videos about Bowelstrek, me, and others. They've got nothing else to do. That little rant that Bowelstrek just did there, he said he's going to use it as a video. That's all he wanted. You got what you wanted, you little... And you're calling him a pansy. You want... Listen... Yeah.
Yeah.
All I would say to you is, mate, is that, you're throwing insults out everywhere, right? Bowelstrek has tried to explain his position, and a lot of other people on this panel have. And I have to agree, if Bowelstrek has been talking to you for over a year and you say he backs off, Bowelstrek doesn't back off from anybody in an argument at all or in a talk. I don't know what you're talking about there. No better man to actually have a talk with you if you are willing to talk it out. But it seems to me that you're only willing to throw insults out. So, if you are a man, like you claim to be, well then why don't you have the balls to actually go and text Bowelstrek privately and try sort it out and sort out your differences if you are such a man? But you won't.
Well, no, it's with this individual, and I'm not going to address this person by name anymore, but it's the same thing with this group of people. And a few weeks ago, I actually tried, just as an experiment, to have a civilized discussion with some of them, and it just resorts to the same thing. They counter your arguments with the same points over and over again, and then, like our friend whose name I'm not going to mention anymore, just goes on and calls me a bigot.
Yeah. It is. It's just bad. But as I said, right, he's entitled to his opinions.
He's not entitled to anything. If you're going to come in here as a troll, which is what this guy's been doing, he's just been trolling. If you're going to come in as a troll, you don't deserve. In fact, in all fairness, the guy could, you could just ban the guy from the channel right now if you wanted to. This is not a democracy. These channels are not a democracy. He doesn't have a right to his opinion unless it's given to him here. He can have an opinion if we allow him, whoever's running the channel, moderating, allows him to post it. So no, he doesn't have any rights here in terms of expressing his opinion other than what is given to him. But if you're just going to troll and you're going to come in here shooting your mouth off and make statements like "Okay, boomer," no, you just wasted your entire position, which was supposed to be that you're this reasonable person who you just have questions. No, you just blew it.
Right. I just put him on timeout for 5 minutes anyway because we're just chasing and tails.
He'll probably show up on my stream tomorrow, but unlike
we'll have fun. We'll play it. We'll turn this into.
Well, here's the thing. Don't be surprised.
It'll be a drinking game, even though I don't drink.
We're going to be bombarded tomorrow. Now, when we do this panel, you still know that because after this episode drops, the shit is going to hit the fan.
It's going to be a great panel. It's going to be great YouTube after great YouTube. I'm looking forward to being on your panel tomorrow. After I finish, I'm gonna probably stay up and listen to Nerdronic, and then it's gonna be a week of great YouTube.
Well, no, it's I've actually I booked a vacation day for Monday. I know by the end of Sunday, I'm gonna be dead. Well, my video out too. So,
but seriously, though, this has been a real fun time.
I'm sure it was all nice and calm, and then I show up, and the next thing you know, I spend 20 minutes telling.
I haven't had so much fun in all my life, mate. Thanks. Cheers. It's great.
Can I ask everybody everybody in the chat, everybody watching, if you could subscribe to all the channels that are that are on the panel tonight? Everybody's in the video notes. Thank you everybody for coming. I guess we're all going to be seeing each other tomorrow.
It's I will probably be streaming for 8-9 hours straight on multiple channels. I think even on Nerdrotic. I think our review is probably going to run into the Inquisition as well. It's going to be. I have a feeling that tomorrow night on the YouTubes and the Twitterverse is probably going to be unlike anything we've ever seen.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll change my my avatar to Jodie Whittaker. Just
you should. Scrunchy face. You should, just for the laugh.
It's going to be exciting.
Well, look at the thumbnail, the video I put up just before the stream.
I saw it. One
thing in case anybody was asking. People are saying it was short. Well, yes, I literally only had about 3 hours to put it together before because I wanted to get it out before it was too late in the UK. So yes, normally it takes me, I don't know, 6-8 hours, whatever, to put together one of these videos. But I managed to get 4 minutes done in 3 hours. So I think that's the fastest turnaround I've ever had for a video like that. But yes, it is quick, but it gets to the point. Yeah. I also had to come on the stream, so like I said, I could yell for 20 minutes.
That was great.
I would like to let everybody know that Blue Bonnet Whovian has a stream starting. I think I just came up with that next 10-20 minutes, which is reviewing Mark of the Rani, the classic Doctor Who story. Head on over there. Okay, I'm gonna say goodnight because I have to be up in like 5.5 hours.
Oh Jesus Christ!
See you tomorrow, Rabbi.
Thank you all for coming.
See you tomorrow, everyone.
Thank you everybody in the chat, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Thanks for having us, mate.
Thanks for
having us. Cheers. Ta-da. Bye-bye.